That's amazing.
Ryver, you know that
Yes.
song with Eminem featuring Ed Sheeran?
Yeah. My name's in it, I
That's
think.
that's that's
I think that's
that's your
me.
name, Ryver, bro.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Did you know actually Ed Sheeran actually he made that song after me?
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Misspelled my name completely, but
Your name's spelled Ryver.
that's right.
Yeah.
Ryver.
So you're the first guest on the show. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I've done 60 episodes without having anyone, and you're actually leaving in a week,
That's
so
right.
it's very it's a very good time for us to
That's
catch
right.
up one more time. So we met doing door to door.
That's right.
Right. So how did you get into that, and how did you end up in the same weekend?
Oh man, that's actually funny. That's actually kind of funny because we talked about when we started meeting each other. We talked about fate and obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Fate manifested through
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
But what was really interesting was that a lot of that lined up pretty perfectly because so initially I got into it just by throwing out a bunch of resumes on Indeed. The job market's pretty bad right now, so there's a lot of struggle when it came to just finding a sales job that I was comfortable in. And luckily, though, I was on EI, so I had a lot more time to figure that out. But then eventually, after a lot of no's or just not hearing back from a lot of people, eventually I got the request from our company.
Yeah.
And that first week, I was going to come, but then I actually genuinely did get sick. But I got sick the Friday or the Thursday. And this is when so I still had the weekend to recover.
Yeah.
So by Monday I was kind of fine, but I was like, I don't want to start.
No, it's fair enough.
So I pushed it back a week, and then ironically that ended up being the week that you started.
Yeah, exactly. No, yeah, I walked in the room. You thought that I was the guy doing the interview.
I did.
That was so funny.
You walked in like you owned the place. You had the suit on and everything. So you brought the laptop on. You even did the shoulder wiggle. We're like, all right, guys. All right. Take a seat.
Yeah. So, now that you're gone, we've both left. We both moved on.
You're out too then, eh?
Yeah.
I figure that's why we're here now.
Yeah. Because it's we're not going to see each other again.
Yeah.
Pretty much. And I quit. I left. And a week after you did. So, what has happened? What caused you to quit? What was the problem? Obviously, it's door to door.
It was
door
tough.
To door. It's freezing cold.
It was freezing cold. I won't lie. Actually, I was good for a while. I was in my grits, and for some reason, all I wanted to do was work. I was in a grind mode, I guess you could call it. But then what happened was between just the freezing cold, just constantly blocking out any mental block of you trying to motivate yourself or get yourself out there, and then your hands are literally freezing. You can barely press the buttons on the tablet.
Yeah.
So that was frustrating. And then it was just sort of a stacking of things. Every time you're standing out there and you put on battery saver mode, the map would re-zoom back out and you have to keep zooming back in on the location.
Yeah.
So every time you unlock the tablet, zoom in, right?
Yeah.
Your fingers are freezing. You have to input the disputes. And then do you remember every time you had to disposition someone, it would keep saying, sorry, refresh the page, refresh the page?
Well, I would just keep clicking it and then eventually it would work. But I would,
Brutal.
Sometimes it'd be bad.
Especially when your hands are freezing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you didn't have gloves?
I had gloves.
You had gloves, but
they just weren't the.
You couldn't just have
the sticky
you didn't have
ones.
The pen?
No.
Oh, you didn't have the pen. Well, you should have asked.
The stylus pen.
You should have asked. They had the pens, but that would have helped.
Definitely would have made a difference.
But I mean, but when I quit, they were actually okay. I talked to my team leader, and then I talked to the manager. You know who those people are. We won't disclose that.
For
privacy's sake.
For sure.
But you know who those people are. I disclosed, and they were more so fine. They were like, "Yeah, I get it. If it doesn't work for you, it's all good. Go pursue your dreams. Go pursue all the extra things that you want to do."
Right.
So they're pretty reasonable when it comes to that.
They are reasonable people, but I also know that they come from an industry that has an incredibly high turnover.
Yeah.
They probably see this all the time, and they have to almost be stoic about it. Or else they would just break down every chance they got, right? Yeah. So the thing, though, is the main reason I left, those were just 3 complaints, but those are just hardships. We should be able to push through that, right? What it really boiled down to was between the offer to help them start up a new business, where I'm moving to, but then seeing the actual support they were providing in the field, and how a lot of the mistakes that were happening were not even our fault.
Yeah.
They were administration faults.
Yeah.
And so, again, I'm not trying to pin the blame. I tend to, in my life, this is only going to paint me in a bad picture, but I really do try to take the blame on myself first.
Yeah, that's good.
But in this instance, I mean, first off, we were never driving ourselves into the towns.
Yeah.
So if we were late, that wasn't our fault. That was 100% our driver's fault.
I know exactly which situation you're talking about too.
And it was more than one, and we just kept arriving late.
Yeah.
So I would lose time, which meant I was losing money, and then that client ruined everything for me because
Yeah. Like where they didn't. Okay.
Because they didn't they ended up saying they were going to cancel. Mm-hmm. Then they didn't cancel and instead finished the order through behind my back.
Yeah.
On top of that, the person who should have been responsible for calling the credit company didn't do that and made me do it during work hours.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
And my job is sales. My job isn't calling the credit card company. So that was a big problem.
Because obviously if you did that, that would have changed your trajectory, right? With them. You would have hit the leadership almost certainly. Would have hit
leadership, would have showed that they were there for me if I needed it. Yeah. And honestly, had they just done even half of what I needed them to do, I don't think I would have been at the level of frustration that I was at. Mm-hmm. I'd probably still be working there right now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you still were going to leave though.
I was still going to leave,
side of the country.
But I was going to work for one more week.
Okay.
And then I was going to 100% take his offer to help him. Also, they never trained us how to actually properly take orders.
Yeah.
I think the intention was always to make us do it on the field.
Yeah.
To just be like, give them a call.
Call them, yeah.
And then they'll just walk us through it.
Yeah. Well.
And I didn't mind learning that way, but it was a lot of pressure.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is, man. Low key, you grow from it, right? Every experience,
True.
That's what you got to do, right?
Yeah, I just feel harder for it now.
Yeah, you're going to go back to the other side of the country, back to where you're from, and then you're just going to, do what you need to do, right?
That's right.
You're going to start a new chapter, right?
That's right.
So you've been in Toronto for how long? 5 years?
Yeah. So I guess your audience knows, and we're from Toronto. We're in the Toronto area.
I've said it. Yeah.
I love that.
I'm not gonna lie, right?
Toronto's big city. Yeah. It's a big city. Yeah. And no, for sure. Yeah, I've been here actually since coming up on February. It'll be 4 years.
Okay, so 4 years. So then, what do you think of the city? How was your experience? Because you're gonna leave, and you're probably not gonna come back for a while. How was your experience with the city?
Well, first off, I have to say that I love it.
Okay.
I love it. I'll get that out. But I think it's funny because since I moved to Toronto, the question I get every time I tell someone where I'm from is, why did you leave?
Why did you leave?
Every time. They're like, you moved here?
Really?
From there? Every single person without fail. Every customer I spoke to,
And is it like some paradise over there that I don't know about? That's
what everyone believes.
Like the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow over there, and you just like a thriving society in rural Canada, I assume.
Yeah, so I'll tell your audience. So I'm from Vancouver, or at least from that area in BC, right?
Yeah.
And so when people hear me come from BC, beautiful BC, and I moved to Toronto, they're like, "What could possibly possess you to do that?" And I think the answer is,
we know. Do you want to share the experience?
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
All right. Go. We both know, but
it's a religious experience.
It is, bro.
No, I mean, it was, I moved here. So I guess it's 6 years ago now. I had my friend came home from college because he came to Toronto for college. Mm-hmm. Came home, he introduced us to a friend of his over Discord. Okay. And it was this beautiful Muslim girl. And I grew up Roman Catholic, but like not really. Yeah. It's the lazy Roman Catholic.
Lukewarm.
Yeah, lukewarm. Yeah. We kind of went to church on Sundays and then stopped doing that, and even that became, we just praise God during Christmas. Like that's basically it, right?
I mean, that's better than some people.
Yeah, fair enough.
There's this whole Christmas is pagan argument. Yeah. Which is to say that like, you're just focused on like Santa Claus and Christmas
in the marketing part of it. Yeah,
right?
That's right.
Rather than the real point, right? Jesus' birth. Right?
Jesus' birth, which is Christ's mass, right?
Yeah.
So then. Well,
so yes, continue. What you were saying.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I digress.
No. I love that though. I love that. But yeah, so I moved here. I decided when I met this girl, we connected very quickly. But I was friends with her for about 2 years before we even considered anything. And then I would never do online dating, long distance relationships. Yeah. That's a big no for me. But then she said, she said she was into me, and I kind of was into her. But I was actually really into her. I like loved her a lot.
All right.
And I decided, I was like, all right, we will do a long distance relationship, but we'll actually set a time limit, 3 months. And if this works and we enjoy this, I'll move to Toronto. What do you think? I pitched her.
Yeah.
And she said, it wasn't even like a hesitation. I think that would have stopped me.
Yeah.
I think if she had said, really? Or any like slight hesitation, I think I would have spiraled. But she was pretty much on board the moment it came out of my mouth. Almost like maybe she was expecting it, right? And there was no way I could get her to move. There was no way the other opposite could happen. So I was like, I'll come out to you. And then we had the conversation, well, if you're going to move here and you want to be with me, it can't be dating.
Yeah.
Because I'm a Muslim.
Yeah.
We can date in private, and I definitely can't give this person away because I don't know if you know much about Muslims, but like that's a woman living on her own, dating freely, very big no-no for a lot of them.
No,
right?
That's good education for people that don't know.
Yeah, 100%. So she's getting away with a lot. Her family's surprisingly a progressive Muslim family, which actually is what brought me to it.
Yeah.
Because the appeal to Christianity for me, minus like devout, I would almost call them morally corrupt Christians that are just like, I will like slay you on behalf of God for this terrible reason. The Crusades. Thank you. Yes. There are crusaders on all fronts, right? Everyone did crusades. Everyone was part of that war, So, but with them, they're actually really progressive. And again, that was my appeal to certain Christianities, because you could find that a lot of Christians were very open, progressive. They'd allow you to sin, but they'll still tell you it's wrong, but they'll allow you to live your life. Whereas like a lot of these other cultures, you'll see they'll kill you.
Well, a lot of Muslim culture is exactly that, right? Why is Dubai like the safest city in the world? Yeah. Because they will lock you up for the smallest thing, right?
Yeah, they'll do a lot.
That's part of the reason. But like,
and the scariest part was, this isn't just some white guy saying that. This is what she's telling me.
Yeah.
Right. This is what they're telling me. They're telling me like, don't. And then I'm getting warned by my other brown friends saying like, just be careful. We've heard stories of like, the white guy comes in, doesn't commit. And then we never see from him again. Yeah. And I was like, oh my God. And the thing is, I came from a progressive liberal town. I won't lie, when I heard that, I was like, that's pretty racist.
Yeah.
I just immediately rejected it, right? I was like, whoa, that's uncomfortable. There was some truth to it, but it never happened to me, so I can't speak like it happened to me.
So you converted. You're a Muslim.
So then, this is the long-winded way of saying I converted. Yeah. Because Roman Catholic guy, didn't really care, wasn't an atheist. I was that classic agnostic, like just didn't care, didn't know. Was kind of like on the fence, because being on the fence to me was like the more logical position, because it's like, well, I can't prove it either way, So for me, it was a natural progression to just be like, I'm open to spirituality.
Yeah.
I've literally been in Jehovah's Witness churches. Like I hang out with the Jehovah's Witnesses.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's interesting.
Yeah, they're great people, man. Yeah. They're like, hey, to be fair, we did their job, as the door knockers.
Yeah.
That's what they do too.
Yeah. I mean, I saw signs that like when they're like the no soliciting signs, they were like, no door knockers, no Christmas carolers, no religious movements.
No religious movements.
Like they specify every single thing. So it's like, I guess you relate in that way. But
it's funny, but So I've always been open to the idea of spirituality.
Mhm.
I'm also, the irony was I'm a very judgmental person in the sense I judge judgmental people.
Okay.
So that's my hypocrisy, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm like, wow, these Christian fundamentalists are so judgmental, and then I'm literally sitting here judging them for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for me, sorry for that tangent.
No,
but
you're good.
That
Don't worry.
the transition was easy. Was the point I'm saying?
Yeah.
It wasn't like a rejection, and I wasn't just doing it because I love this girl, but at the same time I was.
Yeah.
It definitely was a bit of both, right?
Yeah.
But I did have like a sit down with myself, an honest meditation, and said, am I just doing this for the girl? The reason I'm converting to Muslim, yes, but accepting God, no.
Yeah.
That accepting God I did for myself.
Yeah.
So in this case, for them, it would, it's all the same God, Allah. God.
Yeah, it's the same God.
Same God.
The small difference. But
small difference. We don't, we all don't believe in the same prophets.
Yeah.
That's how it is, man.
Yeah.
That's how it is. There's 3 major Abrahamic religions, and none of them can agree on who the prophet is.
Yeah, but the point is, it's like, remember, you say you were on the fence before.
That's right.
The devil owns the fence.
I know.
Right?
I know.
The devil owns the fence.
I know.
Because if you're half in, half out, well, the half out kind of overpowers it, right?
But then
so I appreciate that you're like actually recognizing, the start that God exists, right? But obviously that's a part of, your story, right? That's, your faith journey, right? Which we all are kind of on, in one way or another, right?
I like to pretend I'm like, I think where my pride and ego comes from, like intrinsically, is that belief that I'm like, yeah, I'm accepting of all things. I'm a progressive person. And I mean like truly progressive, not modern progressiveness. I mean a progressive person. Like I'm open to new ideas and I adapt to them.
Yeah.
But then I sit around and I'm like, but for hundreds of years, I blindly believe what I'm told, whether it's through science or it's through faith. And so the irony is that no matter what side I choose, whether it's to not believe, like vehemently not believe, to deny it, or to believe entirely, no matter which one I choose, that's faith.
Yeah. Faith is, you're right.
So atheism is just a big, it's a faith.
The faith that God contradicts itself, right? Yeah.
It contradicts itself.
But it's a belief system in itself. That's why it's given this name, atheism, right? It's
that's
its
right.
own thing, right?
Yeah, it is. That's right. It's funny. It's anti-theism, but it's still theistic, ironically.
Yeah, there you go.
And so, but why? I guess the point I'm making though is that when you have a belief like that, God just sort of does exist at all times, but I'm allowed to describe him now in any way. So you're like, oh, I believe in the Holy Spirit. Fundamentally, what he represents is the Bible, and I know kind of what he looks like because we're supposed to be made in the image of him. So I have an idea of what God actually could look like too.
Yeah.
For me, I hear scientists say, well, God doesn't, not even a scientist, because there's Christian scientists as well.
For me, the intellectual atheist.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The pseudo-intellectual atheist.
I have a little, like, I've had like a video got like 300 views. Everyone was commenting hate because they were like, because I was talking crap about the atheists, and like I specifically am like intellectual atheist, right? I'd rather talk to a Muslim person and try and get them to convert than to ever reason with these guys, right? That's
excuse me.
Yeah, that's my point. So
that's
intellectual atheist. That's how I kind of.
So
categorize.
Who is giving you crap? The atheists or the religious?
Like people. Yeah, people in the comments.
So
right?
you got posted on Reddit probably.
Who knows? But I don't care, man. I don't care.
That's just funny though.
This shows to glorify God, nothing else. It has nothing to do with these guys. They can go do their own thing, and I'm gonna delete their hate comments anyway because I really just can't be bothered.
It depends. Yeah, I would say if it's vehement hate that has no purpose, I would delete it. I think if it's a controversial opinion or just a contrarian opinion, keep it.
Yeah,
because it it opens up discussion.
Exactly. That's how I try and do it. That's what I make sure to do.
100%.
I made videos specifically saying, if you're a dickhead, I'm gonna delete your comment.
And you know what I mean when I say dickhead. Like what I mean.
Like parasocial type of internet parasocial behavior type of thing. I'm deleting that, right?
100%.
And I've seen that. So it's like
it
kind of falls into that slippery slope, right? Of that intellectual, intellectual atheist. So you were saying where you were talking about with
what was I saying?
Your conversion, and then
it was a lot.
I know.
I think it's just because fundamentally I always knew the concept of God exists, but because I understood the concept of creation. Again, not creationism, creation itself. The Big Bang, whether you want to accept it or not, would be a formulation of God.
Yeah.
The God particle, right?
He made it happen.
He made it happen.
He made it happen. If it even whether or not it actually happened, like he made it happen, right?
You're again.
Yeah.
And I've always struggled with the concept of forever and before. And before forever. How can there be a before and after and blah, 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 blah. So I always knew that and accepted it fundamentally. And so what I always loved to challenge people, because I played, this is ironic, I always play devil's advocate. Not advocate for the devil. In the case, you know what I mean when I say that. I always did, but in favor of both sides.
Yeah.
So when a freaking vehement Christian would come at someone for science and try to deny science rather than just try to find a way to relate it, I would argue on defense of the scientist, because it's that's factually proven.
Science is so complex because God made it, so we have to discover His great creation.
He was like, learn my language.
Yeah, exactly.
You want to speak to me?
Like that's a part of the whole thing, right? That's why it can science and faith and religion doesn't have to be separate, right?
That's right.
It can absolutely, and that's why the Christian scientists exist, because it doesn't have to be separate, right?
It's actually because of Christian scientists that I'm converting.
Yeah.
Or what helped me convert both the Muslim faith and now I'm of this weird pseudo-Muslim Christian faith.
Yeah.
Because let me be clear, the Muslim community, especially the Canadian one, is actually very warm and welcome. Right? But also I'm just starting to realize that I'm not really interested in all of the practices.
Yeah.
But the Christian practices start to become more favorable to me.
Yeah.
But I don't there's this part of me that's I don't like that I'm starting to pick and choose.
Yeah, you kind of.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think especially you go back to Judaism, right? 617 laws. It gets a little complicated, right?
They turned it into 36 categories.
Yeah, that's how your salvation is, by following all of these, right?
That's right.
Whereas the difference is Christianity, your salvation is not from your works. It's not from following the specific set of guidelines.
That's right.
It's about faith in Christ, but faith in Christ is found in how you behave and how you try and improve, right? And try and be a better person, right?
Which is really interesting because the faith in Christ dictates how you behave, which is the argument I hear. This used to disgust me as a kid. This used to peeve me off.
Okay.
This was the one argument that was shut up. You know, I didn't really like religious people for this one argument, which was, where do you think morality comes from? And you do have to accept that if you're a person who's not theistic, that is a cop-out answer.
Well, I mean, I don't know. It's more relativism.
We'll get there. It's relativism. Let's get there, because then you have to ask yourself, okay, but where does your disgust against murder and stuff come from? Then? If not God, why don't you tell me to murder? Yeah. Well, I just feel like that.
So where'd you get those feelings from, man? My guy.
I just woke up one day and I was like, man, I don't want to.
You know what? Murder, not good, dude. Not good. You know what? I think stealing. That's
wrong.
Yeah. I think
that's the thing is, I can justify stealing, but when I've done it, I still felt terrible.
Yeah.
Which is ironic because logically, I've even found ethical ways to justify stealing.
Yeah. If it's necessary,
if it's absolute desperation,
you have no food and you go to a convenience store, you just take a bag of chips or something,
or an apple that's right there.
Yeah,
that'd be actually kind of ironic.
Yeah, but it's so. I don't know. Moral relativism to me is just it gets a little bit, you're treading on very thin waters.
Yes.
At times when it comes to it, it's
yes.
In my opinion, right, through the Christian faith, the one morality is the morality that comes from God Himself, right?
And it's just easier.
Yeah.
It's sometimes a simpler answer.
It's easier to grasp, right?
Have you heard of the concept of Occam's razor?
No.
So that's essentially the breakdown of that concept, is that sometimes the simplest explanation is not only the correct one, it's also just fundamentally the better answer, because there's no reason to overcomplicate something.
Yeah, a lot of people, they turn away from faith because they start to overcomplicate it in their heads, be like, oh, I can't explain this. I can't logically justify this, so like it can't be real.
It can't be real.
That's a lot of.
They can't logically explain half of the things that are happening because we haven't even explored space.
Yeah.
We haven't even explored our own oceans.
Oh, ocean, yeah. It's only like what 2% 5% explored. Like it's a ridiculously low number.
Maybe that's where heaven is.
Yeah.
Just the bottom of the ocean, just chilling. I'm just kidding, obviously.
The lost city of Atlantis.
Yeah, that's why it exists.
Something like that. Like the Bermuda Triangle, right?
Yeah.
All these stories.
That's right.
We don't know, right? It
That's
goes super deep because people get caught in it and die, right?
That's right.
No one knows, what's down there, right? Or what's in, any other place, right? The Earth is 70% water, or over 70% water.
Yeah.
We don't know what's happening. So you don't know what's happening there. How can you say it's real?
How can you say we only understand barely even 30% of our planet is all we understand?
Not even. Most people don't even know. Most people can't even point out countries on a map. Like if I told you to.
That's true.
If I told you to tell me where Bhutan was.
I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you
on the map. So now you can't even say 30%.
Can anyone tell us where Bhutan is? Get in the comments. Where is Bhutan? And if you can at least give the continent.
Yeah, that's my geography. Bhutan actually has the coolest flag. It's like red, orange, and yellow with like a dragon. It's super cool.
What? They have a dragon in their flag?
Cool. Yeah, you should search that up. It's super.
So it's not a real country.
No, it is a country.
That's cool.
It's a country in Asia. It's a country like close to.
That makes sense.
Close to like India, Bangladesh, that type of area. It's very small, obviously, because you would know. But like if you're from America. What's the capital of like Germany? They won't be able to tell you.
That's true. That's true.
So, do you even know like 10% of the world?
I don't even know the capital of Germany.
Let alone. Oh, you don't know? Oh,
no.
Right. Berlin.
It's still Berlin, eh?
Yeah.
Can I be honest? The answer, I think it's confirmation bias, but I wanted to say Berlin. But it's like you're thinking they tore down the wall.
Well, it could be,
so they changed the capital.
Well, a lot of people just say Munich, right? Because it's like.
Is that what they say?
Yeah, but it's not, right? And it's the same.
Berlin.
It's the same thing with a lot of other countries have that. But case in point,
yeah,
you don't understand these things, right?
No,
a lot of people don't even understand like the basics, right? So to say that there's actually so much more that nobody understands is not so crazy.
That's not so crazy. Although can I make one defense?
Sure.
There is a difference between understanding geopolitics and fundamentals.
Mm-hmm.
So what I mean by that is, in theory, humanity should eventually get to the point where their basic understanding of something is constantly increasing.
Mm-hmm.
So the foundations of our basic understanding. So we know that we have to eat, sleep.
Mm-hmm.
We know where to do that, how to do that.
Yeah.
We know what shelter is. We know how to hide ourselves from the elements, right?
The cold.
Okay, but geopolitics changes every day.
Mm-hmm.
Notice how I just said I don't really know if Berlin's the capital still because of what happened during the war.
Yeah.
At any time, the capital could change. So it's not really important because borders are just made up anyway.
Yeah.
They're made up
lines.
lines.
It doesn't actually exist.
You're better off knowing, like, what's the tectonic scale of Germany. That would be a better thing to know.
But even less people know that, right? Like,
right, of course.
Like 1% of 1% of 1% could tell you that, right?
Right.
Like, so that's the point I'm trying to make. Is it's like don't realize that there's so much that is untouched.
Yes.
That the human brain can't even
begin to comprehend.
We don't even tap into our own human mind power.
No, we just accept what people tell us.
Yeah.
You could tell me. You could tell me anything right now, and I'll obviously try to confirm it.
Mm-hmm.
But let's say you give me like 90 factoids. I probably only look up 5 of them.
Yeah.
The other 85 will just be lingering in there.
Yeah.
That you are probably half truths. I'll be like, I think.
Yeah.
Everyone knows you as Matt, right?
Yeah, but no, not really. Just Matthew.
Matthew?
Yeah.
Matthew.
No one really calls me Matt. But you call me that, it's fine. I don't really care.
Gotcha.
But it's all good.
So in this case, like, I think that when people get caught up on the nuance of every little thing, you'll basically like logic yourself into like insanity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which is ironic.
Yeah.
And so this is where I get really interested in what I wanted to ask you about. I actually had this question rattling around on the way here.
Okay, that's cool.
Which is, they call God logos. So God is logic.
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain what they mean by that?
Who calls him that?
I just recently watched some videos on, what's his name? Right now he's a famous Canadian. He's from Toronto. Christian apologist.
Oh, okay.
And I can't remember his name.
Oh, like, are you talking Wes Huff?
Wes Huff.
Wes Huff.
Bridget, you told me to look him up. And now he's all over my feed. He's all over my feed now. And I just listen to him talk all the time.
Oh, that's great.
He's the one who said that.
Yeah.
He said it's funny that people talk about saying, they said, explain this to me in logic. And he's like, well, God is logic.
Well, I mean, I guess the reason behind, obviously, Wes Huff is like infinitely more knowledgeable than me.
Fair enough.
He's an apologist. His livelihood is to study this stuff,
100%.
right? So obviously that's why he knows all these things. But
100%.
I would explain it to say that basically like logic is, I don't know, also kind of relative, you know?
Yes.
And what God does, the idea of God and the concept of God brings a level of structure to what logic actually is. So how, you know, where you get your morals from, where you actually make your decisions, right? If you're following a Christian teaching, you're making decisions ideally based off of like what would be best practice in certain situations.
Right.
So if you're in like a, you know, super, like I'm just trying to think of like an example to exemplify it. Like if you're in, I think the biggest, okay, here, I'll give you an example. So we recently had a death in the family, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm. You?
Yeah, like my family.
Sorry.
It's all good. But the way I look at it is like, I don't look at it like mourning. Like I had people in my family that were really mourning it, that were really like, you know, they spent weeks trying, like still like just crying because of it. But me, like my own knowledge, the logic behind it is that, you know, she's in a better place now. She's in heaven. It was going to happen eventually. And it's a good thing. We rejoice. It's a joyous thing that she's now with God and with Christ in heaven. And we did a beautiful funeral where we did like an actual Christian funeral for her. And it was very nice. So like, that's how, so from like Logos logical perspective, like wrapping it around in my head is to say that, yeah, like it's right there. God in his teaching says that, you know, you die with Christ, you will be with him in heaven. So this is a good thing. You don't have to mourn about it. You don't have to, you know, spend time in sorrows because you realize it's actually a good thing because now she's going to her other life, which is not, you know, not on this earth, right? So I think that's a good example to explain why, like just logically, that's how I kind of wrap my head around the whole, like that whole situation, if that makes sense. Obviously, you know, you gotta watch more Wes Huff because that might not be a perfect explanation.
No, but it's fine. I was just curious, truly, because it came down to like when I hear that, I think on one hand that makes perfect sense that when someone says that out loud, but then on the other hand, try convincing a non-religious person and saying God is logic, they'll just reject it. And so the question then becomes, how can you explain that fundamentally? It's sort of like explaining to someone, it's like, okay, do you believe in the Big Bang? Yes. Okay, so then do you believe that the Big Bang started the universe? Okay, so you believe something fundamentally.
Yeah, something had to start.
Something had to have started something.
Yeah.
So then by that logic, the Big Bang would be, to a scientist, they're all penultimate logos. So then I go, okay, so then if God was the Big Bang, or God created the Big Bang, or God created something like the Big Bang that we're describing as such, then by that logic, God is logos, Big Bang is logos. It doesn't really matter.
It doesn't make sense because, well, God's left us his teaching, his, you know, the whole Bible, which is basically an ultimate instruction for how we should live our life.
The ultimate instruction, which is a really good way to put it.
Right? And that's basically what the Bible is. God's left that for us. The Big Bang hasn't left anything. So God's left us this set of guidelines. I go even before
that. God didn't leave us the Bible first. He left us the planet first.
Yeah.
And then when he gave us the opportunity, because the Bible doesn't exist pre-Abraham.
The first writings were probably like, 3,000 years ago, maybe more.
But was it Abraham who wrote the first, or was it?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know who wrote them.
Right. Like, I guess the point I'm making though is that first there had to be the people who made the mistakes, for then God to step in and be like, "Whoops."
Yeah.
That comes off from the perspective of a creationist, of someone who created the world. But what's ironic is that as we keep pressing forward, so people are God denying, they're saying, "Oh God, what a ludicrous idea." You explained it as a set of instructions. He set up the universe for us in his way and his rules. And yet somehow science is going in the direction of we live in a simulation.
Well,
Isn't that funny?
We could be living in a simulation, but
it would be God's simulation. He's just the one running it.
That's how I look at it. But basically, exactly it. Like, I think, you know, a better thing is like to say that God is love. rather than God as logos. I think the argument of God as logos is more so to appeal to that intellectual crowd of people, because you can't say God is love to especially those people that are deep into that whatever hatred towards any type of a God. And like, so I think a better way is that God is love. He loves us so much that he stepped down himself and paid the ultimate price for all of our faults, all of our mistakes. And he gave us a free will to make the choice to choose him or to not choose him.
And first he lived a perfect life
and he had
as
to live
flesh
a perfect life to do it,
to prove the point, that there is purity, but that purity had to die for us to live our life of sin.
Someone had to pay the price. And then he leaves it, right? He gets people to write stuff for us 2,000 years after it happened to continue to experience that gift each and every day. And again, like we talked about this, if you follow the teaching of the Bible, you will live a better life. Like that is why they talk about all of these things in the Bible.
Yeah.
If you follow the instructions, you will live a better life. You will be more joyous. You will be just a better person. Obviously, we all fail. No one's perfect, but like that's the point of it. It's just like if it wasn't the truth, if it wasn't real, then you wouldn't actually see it be real, like in the way it actually helps you in your life.
Yeah.
So that's also what I would say with regards to like how logically you can wrap your head around that.
That's what I would like to think, right? Because like ultimately when you're learning something, you're basing it on its fundamentals. So you're breaking it down, right? What is wood? What is carbon? What is, there's other biological material, but it's mainly carbon, right? But the point is, once you break it down into those components, it doesn't really go any further than that, which means that's like, most, excuse me, most historical scientists and philosophers looked at the universe, and actually science actually made them bigger believers in God. Because they looked at the universe, they finally studied it, started to get a fundamental understanding of it, and the conclusion they came to was, this is in a universe that should have started off as chaos. There is a surprising amount of order.
Yeah, that's exactly true. And that's an absolute other way to put it.
Yeah.
If we're trying to be on this journey of like, even like obviously that God can't be proven, but you're trying to do as much as possible to understand it in your own head, right? That's a great way to kind of talk about it, right?
Because I'm a believer in the universe being a chaotic entity of like especially when you are, so if you are a believer, if you're just a pure atheist scientist, because I was in that mindset at one point. I wasn't a denier. I just was like, yeah, but science says, and I would just like argue, and I was 16, like who cares, right? And what I realized though is that every time you would have these conversations, you're like, no, but you're like, even when you look at the concept of survival of the fittest and evolution, you're like, that's so weirdly ordered. Like I still believe that evolution exists, but I do believe that the creation of evolution was, now I'm like, okay, someone designed this.
Yeah, like Darwin didn't discover evolution. Evolution was there. He was just the one to finally like realize.
Yeah,
right?
And he's like, well, this is kind of sick.
Yeah, exactly.
It's almost like a bigger appreciation for God. You're like, wow. And I think it was Aristotle who, and I'm totally, don't get me on this, I think it was Aristotle who, that was what he saw that and was like, this is beautiful. And it's almost like when like you're tinkering with your toys and having fun, and then when you're having you're like, wow, it's so cool that this company did that. Like that's kind of how I would have wanted to do it if I made this thing, right? That's exactly how these scientists were looking at the universe. They're like, that's so cool. As if there was a designer, right? I can't believe God is such a cool creator because he made this cool toy I get to play with, and that is, anyway.
Yeah,
I'm tangenting pretty hard,
good.
but
you're
yeah.
Good. No, but like that's beautiful,
right?
And it's like you can, again, like the fact that there's so many ways you can kind of just fit it and frame it. It's kind of just about like educating people, because like you can be closed-minded and you can say, "Oh, there's no God. It's all about me. Right? I do everything. Everything. It happens through me. I'm the best. I'm the greatest."
Which is a terrible thought.
That's atheism in a nutshell.
Yeah,
it has nothing. There's no anyone else. It's just me, what I think, and that's all that matters, right? So. There's so many ways to explain it. You just have to, find the right one that appeals to each individual person. And that's why Wes Huff's so good, because he kind of talks specifically about like that type of stuff, like towards those types of people, because he is also like, you know, super intellectual.
Yeah, he is
super
intellectual.
Understanding of this whole concept, right? Theology and all of that, right? Like,
he's very smart, but he also comes at it from a perspective. First off, I think it's one thing to be calm and collected. There's a lot of Christians who are calm and collected out there but they're still not doing enough. I think you need to be calm and collected, but you also got to listen and actually answer the question in the way they're asking it. I think a lot of Christians will divide or devolve, not even Christians, sorry, I should say a lot of people arguing for religion, no matter what religion it is, they dive right back to their book. But you can't be like, it's basically like you're getting into an argument with someone who's like, this is my textbook and I here's my definitions, and you're like, but I don't agree with those definitions.
Yeah, because we have a different
book. Yeah. So you have to meet in the middle.
Yeah, but what Huff does, which is good, is like,
that's why I like him.
He's doing everything, you know, in his power, which he can find with all the manuscripts to prove the Bible as the ultimate book, right?
By using the same logic between, and I can't think of an example right now, I was just watching him, but he did, like, the way he talks, it's like he's speaking to me when I was an atheist as a kid. Again, I am using atheist loosely here. Yeah. I didn't hate or was vehemently against religion. I was against certain practices and against, ironically, I think religious superiority, which ironically I think is very sinful behavior.
Yeah, well, you have to remember that, you know, like when you get into that, and, you know, there's a lot of people that kind of get into that, like, oh, these people do this, and these are Christian people, so I can't be I can't be siding with these people.
I can't be siding with that.
I can't be seen with these people. So it's like you have to understand, like, it's not people make mistakes, people error. It's human error. It's not actually God's error that's causing whatever issues are happening in any religion.
That's right.
Right? It is the people misrepresenting, sometimes in an even more heinous way than usual, right?
And to that point, if the problem isn't actually in the religion, the problem's in the categories. So it's very easy to say, I'm a Christian. Here's my belief. Oh, great. So this is just what all Christians are. But then would it be fair to be like, oh, are you not religious? Doesn't it, you have to be atheist. You just have to be like, I'm agnostic. I'm atheist. I literally don't care. I was born yesterday. Whatever your 4 reasons are, right? You look at that person and you go, hey, I lost my train of thought.
No, you're good.
I totally lost my train of thought.
Listen, it's the point I'm trying to make. It's all good, man. The point I'm trying to make is it's like, if you look too much on what people are doing and not on what God is actually telling you to do, like, that's the whole point. That's why you say refer back to the Bible.
That's right.
And it goes, you know, the Christian denominations too. That's probably where you were getting at in some regard.
That's right.
The fact that there's so many and we're fighting in between each other about, oh, what is the right way to believe in Jesus, right? And that's where it gets even worse.
Well,
right?
in this case, generally it's to believe in God.
Yeah.
Because only 2 religions want to fight for Jesus.
Well, Jesus is God. So.
What do you see the problem, right? Is fundamentally though is that the 3 Abrahamic religions don't all agree with that.
Yeah, we don't agree with it. That's the difference, right? Yeah. I understand.
Yeah.
But it's like, you know, well, what is it? Is it you have to fight, you know, the law and your works are what justify you? Or God himself stepping down and sacrificing himself for you?
That's the point I was making.
To justify you.
That's the point I was making. Right? So if we took the 4 categories of people I described earlier, and let's just make it super simple, and we're gonna make it completely hypothetical. Let's say 50% of Canadians are Christian, which is I know is absurd, and then 50% of Canadians are atheists, but not like, it just doesn't matter. Whatever those 4 categories of atheists I described,
that might actually be an accurate number.
Right. That 50% of secular people, so secular would be a better answer, would be a word for it. Those 4, the 50% of secular people, if one of them said, I want to do this heinous act, I want to kill babies, you know, I'm just throwing out an absolutely thing that's not totally controversial. That's
what they did in the Bible. Don't forget, in the older days, they were doing that. They were literally sacrificing their children in the fire. Right?
That's right.
So it's
because they thought they were doing something.
Yeah.
So if it's not that crazy, let's say that's what one person says it though.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, and so imagine I'm on the fence, right? And I hear that, and I'm able to blame Christian person and therefore the whole religion for their superiority and them saying, "Wow, you're going to hell, you sinner." right? Hate that person. I'm sorry. I shouldn't say hate, but that person is the reason why I get disdain towards it.
Why so many people do? It's not just you.
But then one person on the atheist side says, let's kill babies. How is it not fair for me to say then, oh, all atheists want to kill babies? That's weird.
Yeah, that's weird.
But see how I don't do that for the atheist?
Yeah.
But I will do it for the Christian?
Yeah, there you go.
So the problem isn't the religion. The problem is the category.
Mm-hmm.
And so what that is it's tribalism.
Mm-hmm.
It's every person being like, oh, I fit in this category. It's my team versus your team.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I realized. That's actually what made me really step into Christianity. Because I'm starting to see it as a science and not as a religion.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It makes sense as an ordered concept.
Yeah.
A creator seems to me more scientific now than nothing.
Yeah, absolutely. Something doesn't come from nothing.
Yeah,
it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Obviously. So, but then, what was I going to say? I was going to say some spiel about something. But basically, oh yeah, right. Like, that's why I thought it was so good that Pope Leo went and visited the mosque in Turkey. You heard about that?
I did not.
Oh, well, he did that.
He did, eh?
But he didn't pray. Like, the Muslim guys, whatever leaders, wanted him to, like, get on his knees and, like, do some ceremony. Yeah. But he didn't want to do that.
That's right.
That's beautiful, in my opinion, because you're saying we can be together and it's okay, but I'm not just going to be progressive and just like
do what you do,
right? We can accept our differences,
sure,
but I'm not going to do exactly what you did, right? But that's okay, and that's why the visit happened. And that's why it's a good thing.
I think it's a great thing,
even if I'm not necessarily Catholic per se. I think
in the concept of a pope, right?
Yeah, I think Pope Leo specifically is like a very good, like, he's gonna do very good things, and he's gonna influence a lot of people to change, because I think he's a lot stronger, and he's a lot more like that bold believer in faith that I think the world needs right now.
That's good. And I think having a religious leader, because I think having a theistic country is dangerous, but I think having a theistic world leader is important. Yeah. Just even as, like, we have to be careful, because obviously we don't want to idolize, but it's nice to have that figurehead. Yeah. Would be the better way to say it.
It's the same thing as Wes Huff. He's just explaining it.
There you go.
Right? Like, he's not, he's not God, obviously.
No.
But he's the guy that can break it down into terms that you understand.
That's right.
And that's really the main point, is that you want to understand, what God is trying to tell you. And if there's someone in between that can do that, that's fine. That's perfect. That's why, St. Paul, like, that's why he did what he did, for that exact reason. He basically broke down the teachings of Jesus in a more simple way to, obviously places all around Asia and Europe.
Who's St. Paul?
St. Paul. From the Bible.
That St. Paul.
That St. Paul. There you go. From the Bible.
I guess the Saint.
Yeah.
Paul.
St. Paul.
Like, I thought there was just like, I was like, this is a modern
He wrote all the letters.
Yeah. No, now that makes right. Paul, the letters.
Paul, yeah. So he did that. I'm like, but his whole point is, it's like he broke down everything into simple terms so people can understand.
Right.
And that's why. And he was super bold in the way he did it. And he makes it very clear that he's not the person to be worshipped. It is all through Christ that this happened.
Right.
But it is through him that it is made possible. And it's the same thing with all of these people. Right. Whether it is Pope Leo or Wes Huff or anybody. Right. You're not supposed to worship them. You're not supposed to make an idol out of the person. It's just God speaking through them to actually, like, explain stuff to you that you can understand.
Gotcha. In this case, by the way, I just want to take a moment. For anyone who's watching, I am not religious. I'm not a studied religious person. I'm very philosophically religious. If anyone has ever read the book Heart of Darkness, one of the main principles for religion that ever found root in my mind when I was very, very young was the line that said, it was back when, like, there was that push to get Christianity in different third world countries, but it was not the good kind.
Okay.
It was really just for the sake of essentially
of like forcing people to be
religious, but that was to force conversion of the culture, not to actually. It was using that as an excuse. Anyway, it was a very, very nasty time. It was not used for good at all. It was only used for evil, which is often what people do. Not Christians, but using religion. It's almost like that's where the devil is the enemy, right? He would use God's name to tarnish him. Regardless, in Heart of Darkness, one of the major religious figures in it, he's one of the most beautiful ones. He's the one that, like, when he comes on to the book, you're like, I want to listen to what he has to say, not what this devil was.
Yeah.
He was like a demon in the book, if anyone's ever read the book. But the guy, the other religious man, and I can't remember his name, he says, they asked him where his Bible was. And he goes, I don't have my Bible. And he's like, well, how can you standing here preaching God to these people without your Bible? And he says, look around you. He's like, this is my Bible.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't need the book to spread the great word because his very creation stands before us. This is all I need to believe that God exists.
Yeah.
And for me, that's my answer. So when we're talking and I ask him who Saint Peter, Saint
John, these guys,
Saint Joseph.
Oh, because
you don't
know because you didn't really read the Bible.
Never read the Bible.
Yeah, so
I actually just recently started watching Chosen. That's how I know about Jesus.
Okay. Yeah. Well, you need, again, with the shows, you have to be careful. The Chosen, it's like, it's a good show.
I understand.
But it is just a reenactment.
I
this
understand.
Isn't exactly how it happened.
100%.
So that's why.
And also, I think depicting Jesus, I got squirmy and I looked it up. I'm like, is this like religiously okay? And I think they said somewhere like, technically it's fine.
Well, Jesus was like from the Middle East. He wasn't white. Like
no, I mean
he was from the Middle East.
I mean like a human acting like Jesus.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Well, I don't know.
It's controversial.
I don't know.
I think the general premise was.
But I think it's a good thing because they're using it as a way to spread the message of the gospel.
I agree.
Which I would argue that is a good. It's
working on me.
Yeah, that's a good thing then.
Jesus, when you're talking like Jesus is such a cool guy. Like Chosen actually depicts him as like a really cool guy. Like he's really cool. So I definitely want to look more into him. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm saying, like I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
But, the world, right? The world is your proof that God is real. Of course it is.
It's very ordered, but it's beautiful.
But there's a reason why the Bible exists, right? If you could just justify it via looking around you, if everyone could just justify it via looking around them, then there would really be no need for it.
Right.
So you have to have a set of guidelines, ways to act, ways to glorify, ways to pray, and then just like great stories that can kind of further prove his existence, right?
I agree.
Without actually proving God exists, because you can't actually.
I'm not gonna pretend like I'm gonna understand what God's intentions was, but I'm gonna take a guess. I'm gonna think that God, when He created us, because He created us in His image. Even with all of the sins of the stories of the past, so Adam and Eve and the corruption of man, he still fundamentally believed we could still be left on our own devices and try to see what we would make of ourselves, even with corruption in our hearts. Why am I saying that? Because corruption predates the Bible. So what I'm saying is, I believe what God did was, he thought he could trust us. And then when he realized he couldn't, that's the creation of the Bible. So what I'm saying is, Matthew, is that at some point the Bible didn't exist, and he was hoping we'd figure it out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah.
And then we didn't. Yeah. So then he was like, "All right."
Well, I think again,
bad.
This is where you get crazy because God knows all this is going to happen, and He knows it's going to happen.
That's true. Right? That's true.
He knows.
He both know. I think the idea of omnipotence, to truly understand it, is that he both knows and doesn't know. And you have to accept that in a quantum state. So what that means is he knows, and this is actually, I had this mindset. I'm like, this makes a lot of sense. It's not that he doesn't know, because that would be completely denying him his power. Makes no sense.
Yeah, exactly.
It's that he knows all outcomes. So how does he know what road we're on until the outcome is decided?
Yeah. Because again, we have free will, right?
100%.
We can choose to say, no, we're not going to listen to you, right? Or we can choose to say, yes, we will listen to you, right? So that is like the thing, and that goes back to Judas, right? You know the story of Judas?
No, I don't. I mean, I know what Judas did to Jesus.
Well, that's it. That's the story, right?
So the argument then becomes
for a couple of bucks, he could have, like he sold Jesus, and then he hangs himself after, right?
So then the story becomes.
So he could have not done that, right? He could have not done that, but
not betrayed Jesus, right? Not killed himself.
Yeah.
But God, he still did.
Yeah. So
which means it was part of Jesus' plan.
It's part of exactly. It's part of God's
So people
plan.
argue about, like, I remember reading this and like, do people actually, is there an apparently controversial opinion today is, was Judas wrong or bad at all? And then a lot of people are like, nope, the only bad thing he did was kill himself. They were like, him selling out Jesus was clearly part of Jesus' plan. Obviously that pains people to see it or hear it, but it's the same thing that Jesus tells Mary before he goes, right? So he's basically saying, like, don't worry.
Yeah.
Don't
be not afraid.
Be not afraid.
Yeah, and it's like, this is a part of the plan. save the world, right?
Technically, Judas's betrayal was part of the plan.
Exactly. So, but that's the point. Is that like he could have not done it. He could have chosen, like he could have chosen to say, but because Judas, like the story of Judas is kind of like he's the guy that's said to be in charge of the money. He's always kind of the guy that's in it for the money, right?
Right.
So that when he had the opportunity, that was his, that was the devil's way to enter into his heart, and
he took it,
and he took the chance to make just a couple bucks. It was like not even like he literally like a couple $100 in today's currency is what he traded Jesus's life for, which is
really pathetic and disgusting. And it's really just sad because I think even now, and maybe that has to do with Jesus dying, I sit here and that disgusts me. I can't think of betraying any of my friends for any amount of money. Mm-hmm. But then there could eventually become a number. Mm-hmm. And then also depends on the level of betrayal. Because betrayal can come from anywhere. Like killing someone, that's a whole other story. Yeah. But if you asked me to like dox my friend for $20 million, he can survive a single dox. You know what I mean? Like that's not the worst betrayal in the world.
Yeah, I get it.
But then the question becomes, okay, so the devil got into Judas's heart. Does that imply that then God let it happen? Is that okay?
Well, that's the story of Job, and this is why the Bible is important, because you can find explanations in the stories of the Bible.
Yeah.
The story of Job is exactly this. Job is a person who's very successful. He has a lot of stuff. He has a great family. He has an amazing life, and he's been glorifying God through it all. The devil comes to God and says, because the devil needs permission from God, because God's greater than him. He comes to God and says, this guy doesn't actually believe in you. He just believes in you because he has all of these riches.
Let me show you.
If I took everything away from him, he would for sure leave you, and he would for sure stop believing in you. And then God was like, all right, go do it. Right? So God has to give Satan permission to tempt people. Right?
Okay.
So that is the ultimate thing with Job. And then of course with the whole story is this, like he goes through it, Satan tempts him, he loses everything, he becomes homeless, lives under a bridge. And like he has these guys that are talking to him, like talking a bunch of shit to him, and then eventually he comes back, like he's very distraught, obviously, but then he comes back and says, you know what, like God, I still believe in you, I still trust in you, and because of his love, God gives him and rewards him double of what he had before. That's the end of the story. So God, God tears you apart, and he can throw everything away from you, but it is with the devil's hand that he makes it happen, because God himself's not actually going to do that because he loves you too much. But he gives the devil permission to do it so that he can make you even better and even stronger.
Or see if you're gonna
test you, right?
Test you.
See if you're gonna actually like see if Job actually would have, lost his faith completely, right?
And when you think of stuff like that, for some people it leaves a bad taste in their mouth. But then I think of it on like a national level. Okay, so imagine you're king, right? Or you're the president.
Mm-hmm. China.
Okay, so you okay? No, this is good. You're America, and then there's China, right? And they're not exactly on friendly terms, at least in economic sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say China does something reprehensible, Sodom and Gomorrah style. They become just child sacrifice. By the way, to like the extreme, like literally like worshiping the sun, stabbing kids on a stone plate. Yeah. Like they're literally reverting back to the Stone Age, right?
Yeah.
They go full Sodom and Gomorrah. Then America is letting Chinese people escape. It's like essentially use them as asylum. Mm-hmm. How can you guarantee that the people you're allowing into your country aren't going to just be evil, awful people that are going to come in and absolutely ruin your country, kill and slaughter your people? There's a point I want to make.
Yeah, keep going.
Well, actually, America has a couple of ways they do it. Actually, most countries do. Do you know the ways that they do it? They're very stupid, but
they open up the border and let everyone.
No. Let's say in our hypothetical scenario, they don't. The borders are sealed shut.
Yeah.
There's literal physical walls around every country in the world
now. They'll have
now.
some sort of screening process.
Screening process, number one. Yeah. And number two, Pledge of Allegiance.
Mm-hmm.
Number three, they have to sing the national anthem like every year.
Mm-hmm.
And they have to know the official language.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, saying the Pledge of Allegiance, singing the national anthem isn't a proof of loyalty, but it's a fundamental way to be like, how can I get someone to effectively worship me so that I can at least guarantee they're serving me?
Mm-hmm.
But through servitude, even though I'm not going to take advantage of them, I'm not going to make them my slave, I want them to think of me as their master so that they do not betray me.
Yeah, so
that's now how I view God.
In this hypothetical scenario, that's just a metaphor.
That's a metaphor for if you break it down in that sense, you as a human should see it as more believable and understandable.
That makes absolute sense, right?
God is just testing us because he's saying, if I'm going to allow you into my kingdom, you can't be a freak.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it, right? You can.
That's it.
Like, it's just like. But the thing, right? God loves us too much to do it himself.
That's right. That's the thing.
So he uses Satan's hand as a way to make it happen.
Yes.
Right? So going back to the Judas thing, it's like it's that exact thing. God needs it to happen for Jesus to go through what he goes through. That's right. So he says, "All right, Satan, do your thing.
Do your thing."
Or Satan goes out, or Satan does his thing. Satan this whole time is trying to like get humans to lose their faith.
That's right. Always.
That's his ultimate goal.
Especially one of the ultimate people, one of the disciples of Jesus himself.
Exactly. So it's like, Satan's plan fails, right? And God's plan prevails, right? So God uses Satan as the way to be that test of people's faith and people's actually like servitude of him.
And that's right, because when people look back at the story of Jesus, they hold Jesus now to regard, and they hold Judas down with, they don't like Judas.
Yeah.
And so I think it was a double entendre. I think because, again, an omnipotent being would be able to plan that perfect plan, right? Yeah. And the plan was a double entendre. Show the glory of God, like through the resurrection and miracles of what he's doing, also showing that he was going to go through the pain and sacrifice of it all, and also showed you what even a disciple of God can be tempted by Satan and can then use that to betray Jesus. Now, it was all part of the plan, but it's still a beautiful thing to be like, yeah, it was all part of the plan, but the part of the plan was to reveal corruption. It was to show you that this exists even in the most, what was supposed to be the most pure people.
Well, at the time, but we know that that's not the case anymore, obviously. But so that sums it up, right?
Pretty much sums it up.
Yeah.
I think when it comes down to, for me, is that religion to me is how I've been talking about it, which is like, if you asked me to quote the Bible, I wouldn't be able to do it. If you asked me to find a proverb, my favorite proverb, I wouldn't be able to do it. Not yet, anyway. But then that's when it comes down to, was what I started realizing was, what people have been missing is that, so when you say, refer to the Bible, when you need answers, refer to the Bible, I think sometimes it comes off, for some people, it comes off as condescending. As I get older, I'm turning into what we call a lost boy. Okay. And not one of those. Not one of those. Okay. Like a Peter Pan lost boy, right? Okay. And the reason why is because, like, the society now, especially in Western culture, it's very individualistic. Very. So it's very hard for men who are being like socially castrated. We're told not to act a certain way. We're told that our certain behaviors are like unacceptable in society.
Toxic masculinity. Just gets thrown around to everyone.
Yeah.
Oh, you want a woman to love you, right? You want to be the man of the house. Oh no, you're toxic.
Yeah, or you're toxic. Here's a set of instructions. Now don't follow them. Throw them out the window. Yeah. And so the other thing was that what I realized was I found myself lashing out at everyone.
Okay. So that's what you mean by lost boy. Boy. You just don't have a place because you don't resonate with anyone's doctrine, anyone's thing. Right?
Exactly. No one's doctrines, religious or non-religious. Atheists were pissing me off. Christians were pissing me off. Everyone was just pissing me off.
Yeah.
And women were pissing me off. Men were pissing me off. I was like, holy crap, I'm turning into a sexist. I'm turning into a racist. Like, because I would literally start individualizing people in categories. And I'm like, I am turning into a corrupt version of myself. All of my sinful behavior is now like 100 times worse.
Well, that's a great thing that you at least realize that, right? That's a great thing. Because, like that opens the door to allow you to, be a little bit more open to the idea of God in general.
That's actually what I wanted to get at.
Right? Yeah.
That's actually what I wanted to get at, which was that what ended up happening was I actually didn't find religion because, life of purity and you just need to keep following this doctrine. And so actually the point I wanted to make was I believe that more people, especially now, are going to find God because they've been so corrupted for so long. And it's what's so interesting is that this life of like luxury and hedonism
Yep. Big one.
feels terrible. It doesn't feel, it feels good in the moment, but it generally feels bad. Like I feel like I'm in a constant haze, in a constant, and I kept discovering God and saying all these cool things, and God's fascinating, and I like God as a concept, right? I like talking about God on the couch like we're doing right now, but will I worship God? The other night, I admitted something that made me feel very guilty.
Okay.
I've been holding on to guilt about a sin, a very egregious sin I committed. We're not going to talk about today.
Okay.
But it was a very bad sin.
Okay.
It's not a good one.
Okay.
And it would be something that would hurt someone. It's also something that I fundamentally thought I was principled in and I would never do. And then I did it. I spoke to a friend about it because I couldn't help myself. I almost like had to confess, right? And I told him, and luckily it was a Muslim brother. And he told me, you know, you can find this all in the Quran, but if you're not going to read the Quran, here's what I'll do. He's like, here's the beautiful thing about God. And this is still true in like a lot of Christian faith as well. But I will accept that like Muslim faith is a big believer and like all sins can effectively be wiped. You just have to keep at it and blah, 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 blah. And like there are a lot more, I don't know. I guess when it comes to like sinful behavior, they're more forgiving. Because I heard a joke where like a Muslim can keep making mistakes but keep asking for forgiveness, whereas like Christians, there is a point where that's blasphemy. So if you're like, I'm going to commit a sin because I know God will forgive me, that's blasphemy.
Yeah, well, yeah. I think, well, I mean, yeah, well, obviously. Then you're not actually a true believer.
But
that's why faith is justified by works, right?
100%.
It's like, if you, like, it's not actual real faith if you're still doing the same things that you've been doing, right?
Yeah.
And you're still in those sins and you don't want to try and do better at all. Like,
that's right.
That's really the 10th commandment in a nutshell. Is basically don't want to sin. You should not want to sin.
Wanting
right?
sin. I like
the
that.
wanting to sin factor. And it's like that, you know, you're breaking that, you're going against God.
That's
right?
true.
And it's like, if you want, like, so basically if you can't put away the sins, but you still try and keep asking for forgiveness, there will be that point where like, okay, are you actually faithful? If you were faithful, would you still be doing this? You're many, many years into this same pattern.
Because the answer for it would be no. Technically, if I'm truly faithful, I wouldn't be doing these things, right? And
well, I don't know what, obviously I don't need to know what they are, but like, you know.
No, it was just like,
but like
I would say like lust is a bad sin for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And in every way.
Lust is the devil's most powerful tool. It's one of his most powerful tools because it's such an intense feeling.
And it utilizes love.
Yeah.
Which ironically is what
it abuses right?
love. So I think like ultimately what I found was that when he told me to go home and do wudu, which is cleaning your body in preparation for prayer. So Muslims, they bathe every time they pray. So, which is a beautiful thing. And also just another reason to remain hygienic too. Like that's another reason for it, which is again, is another reason why I believe religion is a very scientific belief. Because a lot of the practices you realize end up just being like proper hygiene.
Good for you, yeah.
Good for you.
Just good for you. Yeah.
Not being lustful actually has a lot to not only just do with mindset, but also actual biology.
Yeah.
Testosterone in and outtake. Anyway, I'll finish up the point of my story, and then we can move on to that conversation, which is he told me to go home, do wudu, and ask God, pray and ask God for forgiveness. On one hand, I was like, thank you, and I was crying, and I needed it, and I wanted to. But then that little voice in my head, that little bastard was like, yeah, I was not going to do anything, though. It's really good that your friend told you that, and it's really nice. And, like, you can ask God for forgiveness, but nothing's going to heal. You're still going to be the sinner. You still made that mistake, and you're going to live with that mistake for the rest of your life.
Well, that may be true, but at the end of the day, it is...
Well, here's the thing.
Okay, yeah, you go.
I get home, and I prayed. I did wudu, and I prayed. The only way I knew how. First, I committed to the Muslim version of it, which is they have to say a certain effectively it's a chant that they have to go through. Then when the chant's over, you have 2 minutes of just silent time to just pray. So I let them do the chant. I followed along, did as best as I could. And then at the end, I did my own prayer, begged for forgiveness, asked for forgiveness. I didn't make any promises because I don't want to make any false promises. I even just said, I don't know what I can offer you. Yep. All I can offer you is that I'm admitting to the world, and I guess I did admit to someone in the world of my sin.
Yeah.
And I immediately felt better.
Yeah, well, of course.
And I haven't been, even though I'm thinking of it logically, the sin that I committed, normally when I'd be sitting here and I'd be like, oh man, yeah, I did this thing, I would be sitting in it. The whole mood would shift.
Yeah.
Well, I'd be like, oh.
The devil wants to put it in your mind that oh, it's not going to make a difference. You're still that piece of...
Shoot.
Yeah, piece of crap that's a sinner and bad. That's what the devil is so, he's so funny because he drives you into sin.
Yeah.
And then
he makes you mad about it.
And then he makes you mad about it. And then you're just lamenting in it, reveling in it. Yeah. Instead of just, sitting down and be like, all right, I made this mistake.
Whoops.
Let's work hard to try not to do it again. Ask God for forgiveness. And like, it will be better just for me spiritually. Like, regardless of if it's a Christian or Muslim thing. Well, obviously, in Christian, like, God will, Jesus Christ, that's the whole reason.
That's why he did what he did.
That's why he did what he did. So that you can be forgiven and with the knowledge that, okay, I have to still do better. It's still up to me in a certain respect, right? To make sure it doesn't happen again.
And if anything, the erasure of my guilt only fundamentally made me want to worship more. Because I was like, you've just done... I have such a guilty conscience and such a problem with guilt where I constantly feel like I'm doing something wrong. I'm constantly questioning everything I do. So to have... it is impossible for me to explain to you, Matthew, how when guilt was just suddenly removed, no logic to it, there was no therapy session. It was a simple prayer and it just went away. That to me was the biggest spiritual awakening I ever had.
Yeah.
More than anything else.
Prayer is therapy, Prayer is like the ultimate therapy. And for me, when I pray, like sometimes I pray, it's like a 20-minute long prayer because because I go through
the motions,
everything, right?
Yeah.
Like sometimes, right? Because like on a very bad day, for example, it'll be that long, right?
Excuse me.
It's like, well, the way I pray, the way like Christians kind of like the structure of our prayers, you worship.
Yes.
Then you give, the way I pray is you worship, then I give thanks.
Right.
I give thanks be grateful for the gifts and everything. And
always give grateful, yeah.
And then ask for repentance, forgiveness for all my sins. And that's usually where I'm there for a long time.
Yeah.
Talking about all the things I've done wrong today and I continue to do wrong, right? That's where I'm there for the most. And then pray for others. Pray for other people and pray for like the good of the world and stuff. And then what I do at the end is like, I ask God for strength and extra virtues and stuff.
I was going to say, I ask at the end.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I do it too. Because I'm like, well, that's selfish. If I'm asking for this stuff first.
Also, can you pray for my family, make sure they're healthy?
Yeah.
And you're like,
also that, but like, okay. And God's like, all right.
Like, okay, dude. All right.
Yeah, so that's kind of how I structure my prayers. It's like, again, it's different. There's no bathing in the water or whatever. But
sure.
Like me, I just, I pray in the morning when I wake up and before I go to bed, right? That's how I would do it, and that's I think good practice as well.
I agree.
Like you start the day with God, you start the day with humility, giving thanks to Him. It's not about yourself; it's about Him. You make mistakes, but it's okay.
That's right.
He forgives you, and He will give you strength and many other great virtues. And then you end your day with that same feeling, so you can go to sleep at peace, rather than with all of the mind, the clutter that can happen in your brain.
And that's what's ironic is that like our brains are so complex now. From a scientific perspective, holding on to things is only causing more damage and then therefore making you a worse person. And so the irony of being like prayer is a form of meditation and therapy. You're letting it out. So it's almost funny how when you apply religious practice, 9 times out of 10, it ends up being a scientific practice. Like even just being like, don't lust. Well, okay, it's because God doesn't want you to go around and lust and blah, 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 blah. And it's for some arbitrary religious reason. No, it's because when you go around and lust, a lot of things will happen. One, you'll start to desire multiple partners, which will then fundamentally break the relationship of a good partner who you have, because your mind is constantly wandering.
More susceptible to cheating.
More susceptible to cheating, adultery. Again, let's not look at it from a frame of sin. Let's look at it from just a frame of like bad behavior.
Your testosterone levels
go down.
You feel like guilty, shame. You feel terrible.
You become weaker.
After all of it.
Yes.
You waste time.
Okay. Oh, especially if you're pawning off of a girl just to do it, or to do whatever it is you're trying to do.
Yeah.
And then you realize you spent like 3 days at someone's house you don't even want to be at. Like, that is the worst. It's like,
oddly specific.
Well, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad.
All right. Yeah, it's okay. We don't have to go that deep.
That's okay. No, I would say lust and pride are probably my two worst sins. I would say, I think sloth. I would say sloth, but then I think that's unfair. I think most people suffer with sloth these days. I think sloth has become...
Well, I mean, sloth is like, are you truly lazy, or are you just that guy that is always thinking you're lazy, so you have to keep doing more? So then you have to actually have to be conscious and be like I see myself as lazy like all the time.
Yeah.
Because I sleep until 9 o'clock. Oh my goodness.
That's hardly lazy.
I'm freaking lazy, man. I
sleep until 12.
So some days.
Jeez.
So but those are only like the worst days. But like, I don't know. I'm like, I'm lazy, and then I wake up early. I don't know. I wake up early, and then I don't get up right away.
Yeah, sure.
And I'm like, I'm late. Right. Alarm was at 6:30. I didn't get up till 7:30. Oh man, I'm so lazy. But I still got up and went to the gym. Like, I still did it.
Yeah.
I still did what I needed to do.
Yes.
So, you have to be a little bit careful with laziness. If it's actual laziness, or if it's just like you're just putting too much pressure on yourself to do
it's actual laziness. It's actual laziness. It's video games are the problem.
Video games.
Yeah, they're the problem.
Yeah.
And drugs.
Drugs.
Obvious. Yeah.
Well, you have that situation with the
marijuana.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know if you want to talk about that.
Yeah, I can talk about it.
How's that gone?
I know, but luckily we're in Canada, so...
Yeah, how's that gone? How's that, we can pivot towards that. How's that gone? Like, how was, you said you were going to quit.
Not great, but I'm in a better position than I was. If you'd met me 3 months ago or 6 months ago, I would have just kept saying I'm going to quit. But the thing is, every day you would have seen me and I would have been just still smoking. Mm-hmm. But for me now, it's like I'm barely even smoking once a week, which is definitely a significant difference. Still not where I want to be at, not even close. But I think the main problem I'm having is I have ADHD. And I don't care about overdiagnosis. Like, I'm not even using it as an excuse. Just something I noticed is that I get hyper fixated on stuff. But then when I'm high, it relaxes that. So no, I'm not uncomfortable hyperfixated, which allows me, when you're uncomfortable, you move on to the next thing. Uncomfortableness is a good thing. Boredom is a good thing.
Yeah.
When you're high all the time, you're never bored.
Yeah.
So that means you're just sitting there and you would see, like, doom scrolling?
Yeah, obviously.
You're basically just doom scrolling everything. It doesn't even have to be on a shorts or on a phone.
Yeah, you're just in your mind.
I'm literally, I'm on my Gmail doom scrolling, bro. Like, I'm on Quora doom scrolling. It's bad.
Well, when you're high?
When I'm high.
When you're high?
Yeah, well, I just don't do anything.
When you're high, that's the biggest problem with weed is it's like it turns your brain off, right?
It just shuts it down.
Like sometimes you're overthinking, right? That's a big problem. Right?
Yes.
But other times,
you're underthinking.
It's good to have your brain, right? Fully functioning, right?
Yeah, well, it feels like I haven't been functioning for 6 years.
Well,
and that's when, so you're like, oh, wow, you play piano? And the thing is, those songs I learned probably just before I started smoking weed, and then I never played piano again.
So you can see, right? You can see how it's actually just had a bad effect on yourself, but it's because of the feeling.
Feels great.
The feeling overpowers any logic that you could possibly
exactly,
and that's with every single addiction. That's why they exist, right? To prey, for the devil to prey on your weaknesses.
And he's doing a good job. I won't lie, he's doing a good job. And I won't lie, for a long time I was an edgy kid, and the concept of the devil was cool to me too. That's the other thing, right? and I think darkness and badassery is still cool to me, but I think on the level of I think it's okay as long as you're not worshiping it.
Yeah.
Because then, by the same logic, if I bring God into my fantasy, then I'd run the risk of disparaging his name. So it kind of goes both ways, right? I'm not worshiping the devil, even if I think demons are cool. But I also don't like it when demons are like, you watch a show and you see a demon corrupt someone. You're not rooting for the demon. You're like, ruin my favorite character.
That's what the devil's doing though every day to you.
100%.
But that's the thing is the devil is not your friend.
No.
He wants you to fail. He has his own kingdom, you know.
I know.
He has his own kingdom. And he wants you to join him in his kingdom, but he's going to try and force you to join him in his kingdom. Right? God doesn't necessarily step in, right? The devil's the one that steps in to tempt you. God will be there if you choose to go to him. But that's the idea of the free will.
Can I actually be honest with you? I actually don't believe, the more I'm reading about the little segments of the Bible, like hearing the different people talk about it, I'm starting to create my own interpretation of hell. And I really don't think everyone's...
That's a big one.
I don't think people have got it right.
Well, I mean... I don't know. That gets, you know.
But I think
we won't know. Hopefully, we never know. You know what I mean?
100%. 100%.
That's the goal. Right?
But maybe people should know, because I actually I'm starting to realize more and more how merciful God actually is. Even with the concept of hell.
Well, yeah, hell's definitely not like Dante 7.
That's what I'm saying. Definitely Thank you. It's not that
much, but even still, it gets complicated.
Two concepts of hell actually. This is another thing that made me re-believe in the Bible, because Dante's version of hell actually made me not. I'm like, that's way too fantastical. Yeah. That's crazy to me. Okay, like heaven is more believable than hell.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'll explain why. First off, every being wants paradise eventually, whether that's fundamental because of the Bible being in our, or from the God being in our mind and our hearts. Or is it just because, I don't know, we just don't want to live with pain?
Yeah, yeah.
So paradise makes sense as a concept. It's the ultimate achievement, right?
Yeah.
Hell, so what's interesting is scientists, an atheist scientist believes that when we die, that's it, it's over.
Yeah, that's it. You're
Blackness.
Nothing. You're nothing.
Well, actually, in the Bible, that's the original concept of hell.
Oh, I guess.
And it actually makes sense.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Because what does God say? By the way, I'm not quoting it properly, but in the Bible, it's quoted something like, "I will, if this is your sin, I will leave you in that sin. I will send you in that sin." So what if the concept of heaven exists? Imagine heaven as a simulation, just for the sake of science, right?
Just to paint the picture.
Let's paint the picture. Let's say we had to put on a VR headset and we were in heaven with pearly gates. I'm blaspheming right now, but please just bear with me for this metaphor. You put on this VR headset, you're in heaven, right? So heaven is a simulation of paradise, of non-pain, of pleasure, of being around everyone you love forever. And then really just whatever you want, but in a very healthy and practiced way. That's the point of getting ourselves in a disciplined mindset to be like, are you ready for eternal spirituality? Because if you are a sinful human who's stuck in sin, then I imagine, what's a good example of this? So you're envision heaven as the VR is a simulation, right? Now envision hell is also a simulation. Do you know the experiment with rats with dopamine?
What do you mean? Like
the dopamine button?
Oh, I don't know.
So they did an experiment where they attached neurological wires to a rat's brain, and every time it hit the button, it would literally feed them dopamine.
Yeah.
What they found was the rat would literally sit there and hit the button. And then they would eventually just like spam the button, and that's all they would do is just sit there and hit the button.
Yeah.
To the point where they would neglect mating with other rats.
Yeah.
Eating. Which is like, that's even crazier. Yeah. They wouldn't even if you put it in their, like right in their mouth, it would just sit there.
Yep.
Because they're getting everything they need from the button.
Yep.
I envision that's what hell is.
Yeah.
It's not like it's not heaven in a sense that there is some pleasure, but it's the exact pleasure you wanted, and it's forever, and that's all you get.
Yeah.
That's terrifying.
But it will destroy you. Yeah.
Because it'll destroy you.
For eternity, right?
It'll destroy you for eternity. Because that to me is hell.
Yeah.
When I think of eternity, that's scary to me. And it's almost like what God is doing is he's preparing us. He's like, actually, you're right to be scared of eternity. Eternity is frightening. I've been living it my whole life. Yeah. He's like, do you know what's even more frightening? Your scientific version of eternity, which is like being stuck in first off, like reincarnation is kind of terrifying too, right? Yeah. Being stuck on earth forever is scary. Pain, suffering, torture, imprisonment are all possible things that we could live for in eternity. I believe that's what God's warning us. God could be a mega mind overlord race of people being like, did you know there is worse things than death? That's what God is telling us.
Yeah. like after death, right? Like
after death is worse.
After death can be worse if you do the wrong thing.
Also, technically, life could be worse because there are ways for people to. There is like I call it the titanium box theory. Mm-hmm. Imagine someone puts you in a titanium box, feeds you just enough through like tubes, but keeps you alive, and just keeps you in this little box
just enough,
enough.
But you're still in the pain, right? But like
the pain. And that can theoretically be true. That's theoretically possible now.
Yeah.
That's horrifying, right?
Yeah, in theory, right?
So to me, that's hell.
Okay. That makes that makes sense. I can tell you that it's not Dante's Inferno, Seven Circles of Hell, whatever. I didn't even read the book. I just know it's a bunch of crap.
Yeah, it's wild. it's very what's Hellenistic.
Yeah. Well,
so it's comes from Greek mythology,
right?
Of
course, yeah. So, but I mean, yeah, like. When even in the Bible, when it talks about actual hellfire, being burned in the hellfire, it doesn't necessarily mean like there's a literal fire where you're just being burned. It's just maybe the flame of your sins. The flame of your sins.
Yeah. There's also a point to be made that like if we think of death as an eternity or a void, a vacuumous void would burn you. Mm-hmm. It would hurt. Then there's a third interpretation of it. What does it feel like when someone breaks up with you? I mean, I don't know if you know.
I don't know.
A lot of people
Unfortunately, I don't.
Some of your actually a lot of those atheists from Reddit know this. It don't feel good. In fact, it kind of feels like a fire burns inside of you.
Yeah. And
they describe hell as being just the absence of God's love. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Fun, interesting thing. Mm-hmm. Another way I won't lie. And this is ironic because of the devil craze of Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
Dungeons and Dragons is what's helping me understand God.
Okay.
I'm not kidding.
Listen, to each his own, however you can figure it out.
Thank you. No, because it's funny because the devil panic for D&D, right? Like,
okay.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Don't know. I don't.
In the 80s, there was a big like Satan panic for D&D. Okay. Oh, they're worshiping devils because demons are an enemy in the game. Yeah. But the fun fact is, they're usually the main antagonists. We're usually heroes with the sword of gods. Mm-hmm. That's, I think, the most blasphemous thing would be gods, plural, right? Slicing our way through demons.
Yeah.
With a holy blade.
Yeah.
That's pretty godly. That's pretty godlike. That's very Christian. Mm-hmm. The other thing is...
it's metaphorical.
It's metaphorical. It's all metaphorical.
Right. Yeah.
What's beautiful, though, is it's when it comes down to the concept of realms. So heaven is a realm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Heaven is a pocket dimension. A new universe that we can all attain.
Yeah.
If you were the gatekeeper of that universe, you'd kind of want people to follow your rules.
Yeah, exactly.
So life is just us being shown, can we follow those rules? And if you can come over here. If you can't, then you go to, and this is the D&D equivalent, you go to the, so there's lots of things, but how it works is multiple gods it's whoever you worship, they bring you into their kingdom. Mm-hmm. Which again, I think that's very Christian and godly, right? Mm-hmm. Because it's like saying, okay, there are multiple gods, that's the non-Christian thing. Mm-hmm. But the concept of being like, what if multiple entities, let's not call them gods. Mm-hmm. What if multiple entities were trying all to fight for your soul?
Yeah. I mean, well, that's exactly what's happening, though, when you really think about it. Right?
That's right.
That is what's happening.
So then the other concept is, it's actually possible for you in Dungeons and Dragons. And actually, it's funny. In real life, it's insane for you to believe in God. That's what people say. Mm-hmm. In D&D, ask any Dungeons and Dragons nerd. If you don't believe in gods, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
They're so evident that it's just like, that's just stupid, right? Yeah. Magic exists. You're like, if magic exists, there has to be some entity, right?
Yeah.
And what I loved was the idea that if you don't believe in anything, the God of the dead is like, he feels pity for you, almost like God himself feels pity for you and is like, okay, I can't give you heaven because you didn't follow any of my tenets. You lived a life of neutrality, but somewhat sinful. You never asked for forgiveness, which means I can't trust you.
Yeah.
You get that void that you thought death was. That's what you get now.
Well, that makes sense. Yeah, you bring it kind of all the way around. That's like, if that's atheist thing, like it makes it makes sense. Obviously,
I'm giving you what you want.
Yeah, it makes sense. And it's like the devil is.
That's mercy.
The devil is just
That's mercy.
The devil's rubbing his hands, right?
Devil's rubbing his hands. He's having a good time.
He's like, let's go.
Let's go. And the atheists are like, yeah, when we die, nothing happens. And God is like, if that's what you want.
Yeah.
That's mercy.
Mm-hmm.
Because for some people, they don't even want, some of these people, they actually, it's not even that they hate God, they just don't want heaven. I know that seems crazy.
No, that's weird. You don't want, like perfect, imagine this entire world, but like all the bad things are not there.
Not
and
there.
All the good things are there.
They just don't like this. I think,
imagine that.
I think the world has corrupted their view so much that for some people, existence is so terrifying that they just rather non-exist.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I think that's what prayer and meditation is for, and what sleep is for, and what God is trying to effectively guide us towards.
Mm-hmm.
Or your favorite word, I'm not going to use it. I'm just kidding. He guides us towards...
Yeah.
What's the word? Like self-actualization, I think, is our own thing.
Uh-huh.
So the next step of that would be ascendancy, essentially.
Yeah, there you go.
He doesn't want us to, like, we're not trying to become gods, we're trying to become God-like, angelic-like.
Mm-hmm.
Because eternity is terrifying for flesh beings,
mm-hmm.
but we're not going to be of the flesh.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We're not going to be the flesh. The flesh corrupts.
That's right.
Right? The flesh corrupts, and we're going to be perfect.
We're going to be perfect.
So something has to happen for us to be perfect if we have all these sins right now.
That's right.
Something different has to
happen.
You know what I mean?
Yes. All right, guys. So we're actually going to take a break for one moment, and we'll be back when the cameras are rolling. We're going to go outside, have a smoke, and...
No, we're not going to have
a smoke. I know. No, it's not Joe Rogan? This isn't Joe Rogan? I was expecting a table with whiskey on it, but no.
You watch Joe Rogan, like he does the protect the parks.
Oh, no. Series. What is that?
It's where it's Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
Shane Gillis.
Yeah.
Ari Shaffir and Mark Normand. 4 comedians do just a crazy podcast for like 4 hours straight.
And is it just to raise money for parks?
No, it's just a funny
name
because I think there was something where Ari Shaffir had some thing. So that's what a funny name for it.
Yeah.
It's just basically 4 dudes. They do this thing where they have like this bottle and they chug the beers.
Oh, yeah. Is Ari Shaffir the one that hangs out with Andrew Schultz, or am I thinking of someone else?
I don't know. He's the Jew.
Matter. Oh, he's the Jew. Then no, I'm not even close. Not even close.
Sorry, that's the only way I could have.
No, that's funny.
Possibly differentiated.
That's funny
in that context.
Yeah, the Joe Rogan. Yeah, that's funny.
No, this isn't quite Joe Rogan. It's deeper, but it's a good thing.
Yeah,
There's a place. There's a place for everything, right?
100%.
Joe Rogan's becoming a Christian though, low key.
Yes, he has.
Low key.
Yes, he has.
He's saying he's going to church and stuff. He had Wes Huff on.
Yes, he did. I watched a little bit.
Like he's slowly finding that as well, which is always good. It's good to see that. Like
it's because the Christians are bringing the logic. That's what I'm saying. It really helps when you don't just deny what people are saying and you meet them in the middle.
Yeah, you find that
common ground.
Like you find that thing that relates to them, right? Rather than just saying, like you have to, you kind of have to be strategic. Different people need different things, as we said before, like different things to be said to them. In order for them to appeal to the idea of God, right? In order for it to flick in your switch, even in sales, it's the same thing.
That's true.
You need to say something that in the customer's mind flicks that switch.
Yeah.
That gives them that impulse to buy whatever it is. If it's the price, if it's the product, if it's some specific feature that they wanted. It's similar, right? It's a kind of similar thing. You have to say it in a way.
Minus impulse, though.
Yeah. Say it in a way.
Yeah.
That will get them to resonate and make it make sense for them.
That's right.
Right? Make it make sense. So, I just thought, we're salespeople, former door-to-door guys.
It makes perfect sense.
It makes sense to relate the ideas.
It makes perfect sense. I would say everything, because everything is sales at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to convincing someone of that, we 100% have to approach it from a sales perspective. Mm-hmm. But I was going to say minus impulse.
Yeah.
Because with religion, you can't get someone on impulse. It's going to be, that's a lifetime journey.
Yeah. And
so what you're really selling them on is just finding that way to relate to them, as you said, and communicate to them in that middle ground way, which again, my whole life actually, I think once you get passionate, you start to understand something fundamentally. One thing that I was told that I was good at, and I still to this day I don't know how to apply it, what job I should be in, what my, path forward is. Mm-hmm. But it was, I used to work for this friend of mine. He was a director. Mm-hmm. So he would direct short films. But the problem was he could never get people to he could never explain what he wanted from the scene. But every time I heard him say it, I immediately understood what he wanted. And then I could see where people were getting confused immediately. And so then I would just like, hold on, let me explain it. And I'd summarize for them. And every time they would get it. And he literally, and by the way, I didn't think of anything of it. I wasn't having an ego moment. I didn't think nothing of it. It's just a natural thing for me to do.
Yeah.
Be like, oh, I hear what you're saying. I think what, Paul is saying is this. And they were like, oh yeah, okay, interesting. And then they would do the scene perfectly. And Paul literally pulled me aside. And he's like, I don't know if you want, but I want you to be my assistant director going forward for every film. He's like, because you just have this way of taking exactly what I need and communicating it perfectly to people. And, I'm not religious. I'm not fully committed yet. I'm not fully spiritual. But I think I need people like that to appeal to me. Because I can't just have someone say, well, it's in the Bible, man. What do you mean you don't think God exists? It's like, what?
We've established you understand the idea of God.
Of
and
course.
I'm not, it's not going to be that. Of course. Right? It's just a matter of like, the specifics, right? Did he step down? And can we say that he actually stepped down and sacrificed himself for our sins, lived a perfect life, had a virgin birth, all of that stuff, right? That's where you're kind of like, I don't know, you don't want to just make that extra jump, or you don't want to like...
Oh, it's not that.
It's not that?
Jesus seems pretty friggin' real.
Yeah. So then what is it?
It's not that. It's that I'm not having a fully... Okay, I have a lot of skepticism still for a lot of little things. And so for me, what faith is coming down to is literally just being faith, which means denying my skepticism. But that's the part that I'm having troubles with. Is being like, okay, I can understand that fundamentally. So, and I'm saying fundamentally a lot, I apologize. I can understand that, mechanically. So the only way for me to step over this line now is for me to just have faith and to deny my skepticism. Because I'm still skeptical. Like, for instance, I don't want to say stuff because the things I'm going to say are very controversial.
Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, you have to, the way you treat your skeptic feelings is you have to, find ways to actually answer those skepticisms. Right? You can't just let them sit there and 100%. And then they'll just kind of bubble up.
I would ask you in private. I would ask you a priest. But if I ask you in front of your audience, I might piss some people off.
Dude, I don't care. Piss whoever you want.
All right.
Like, dude, I've pissed way too many people off already. And my show is still super small. So, like... That tells you all you need to know.
My main thing is that, and this doesn't deny the existence of God. It just denies the precipice of Jesus, which is that Jesus could have, in theory, pulled off everything that he pulled off without it. Like he could have pulled it off without it actually just being a miracle.
What do you mean, like?
So,
what do you mean with that?
Well, it's the same logic as the Moses splitting the Red Sea thing. Did you know that if you go to the same place in that Red Sea, there is a point roughly once a year where the wind hits the sea just hard enough, and it lasts for like 30 seconds to a minute, where the sea literally splits.
Wow.
Meaning if Moses was a man of God, or a man of science, or both, he could have just said, I'm just going to wait for this. But it wasn't God doing it for him in the same sense that God was like waiting for him. And as soon as he said, split the sea for me, it was more like Moses understood on principle what was going to happen based on the science of it, and then waited for it and then split it. Was Moses a con man? No, Moses was like, do you guys want to cross the ocean or the lake? Then this is the best time to do it.
Well, the way I would explain, I would kind of like, just counter that and say 30 seconds to a minute is not enough time for them to cross the whole thing.
100%.
So the difference between that, maybe I would say that's maybe a sign from God to say that actually happened.
That's right.
Like that he did part the Red Sea. So that's how I would kind of counter that, like spiritually, by saying that's like, okay, the fact that it actually still happens to this day is a sign, is a mark saying that, yes, this did actually happen. But because like if Moses was just timing it right,
yes,
30 seconds wouldn't have been enough for them to cross.
Totally understandable, and he would be betting on a lot. That's a pretty big bet, right?
Yeah.
My main concern though,
to Jesus, yes.
To Jesus, my main concern is that a lot of his miracles were things that you could just get people in on. So the only, even his resurrection.
Well, the thing is...
See, this is what I'm saying. I didn't want to say it.
Well, the thing is with that is just, like, people laid down their lives for it, right? So people
and
literally
so that's the
literally
big one.
died.
That's the big one.
Like because they were everyone told them, stop talking about this. Stop talking about this. It didn't happen. Don't worry. Stop talking about this. I'm going to put you in prison. I'm going to crucify you like him. Right? You know the story of Peter, right? Where Peter literally says they're going to crucify him. He says, "No, I don't want to die the same way as my Lord.
That's right.
Do it differently.
Do it differently.
So that's why he crucified upside down. So that's how you can prove that because you can only say that, oh well, they had to have seen it happen if they're that convinced by it.
So you couldn't have
just made it up.
That's the skepticism, is that it boils down to this. This is where the faith comes from. Because on one hand, you're like, anyone could have conned anyone. But then you're also like, why did these many people die for it? Because no one, unless they were just such prideful people, no one would die for a con.
And people
once the con is up, you run.
People that didn't even see it died.
Yeah.
Like, Paul didn't meet Jesus in person. Jesus spoke to him via like a dream.
Right.
But it was that powerful that he did the same thing. Right. And he didn't die, but he almost died like 5 times because he's going around. People are stoning him. He was in prison many, many times. He wrote a lot of his letters from jail. And
so why would you keep enduring that?
Exactly. So why would he didn't even see it.
Yeah.
So it's like the power has to be real. And it's like you can see, and even more, just you look at the disciples, like the direct disciples that went through that and got martyred for the faith. And actually, as you said, that exact thing happened. Where I think in the book of the Acts, they talk about how there were other people claiming to be the Messiah in the past, and when they died, their movements died with them. So like that, like they actually give specific examples of people that did. I don't know the exact verse, but that's actually a thing that happened in the Bible and it's talked about. And then it's to say, well, yeah, like we all thought that Jesus, like there's a guy that literally was like a high priest or something. He was like, let's just wait. Let's ride it out. Yeah. If this guy Jesus really was real, you'll see that there's a movement. If he was fake, the movement will die like these other guys. And obviously we saw that it was,
it almost did until he resurrected, right?
Well, no, the movement didn't die. No, I'm saying this is after the resurrection.
Oh, it's after resurrection.
Like, this is after the resurrection happened.
And he's like, "Don't worry, it'll die," and then it never did. I mean, because today,
exactly. We're still talking about it today.
We're still talking about today, which is pretty incredible, by the way. So I'll say this too, then, and then that's what pushes me over the line is that if you believe the word of the disciples, if we believe in all the all of the firsthand accounts and testimonies of what happened, then it becomes more believable, because who would die for something like that unless you absolutely knew it existed? And that's my point, is if I knew that there was a miracle worker, if I knew that therefore that may justify the existence of a kingdom of heaven, not even may, you pretty much see it, then you're like, okay, now nothing scares me anymore. Because nothing would scare you. Only thing that could scare you is pain. And that's it. So I could see, and it's super. I'm not even religious. I'm not even really fully there yet. But and yet, if it was proven to me without a reasonable doubt, the way it was for I guess for Judas and Judas still did it, so that's funny. But for all of them, I would 100% die for Jesus.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
And I'm not even that. I'm not even Christian at all.
But that that there's a reason God doesn't want to prove it to you like that.
So, but why? But he did. So why not do it again? That's the biggest question of the universe. He did it once.
I think
once is a powerful number. Doing it once is already plenty. But still, we could use it again. We could use it one more time.
You can kind of look at it, be like, first of all, if Jesus came back right now, nobody would believe him. You would see on social media, same thing as with politics. You'd see half the people being like, "Oh, this is Jesus, he's back," right? And the other people would be like, "No, he's just a con man."
He could just show off miracles.
Yeah, but that's the whole thing with the devil. The Antichrist.
Yeah,
that's the whole thing. There's going to be the whole prophecy is that there's going to be in the Revelation by John.
Yeah,
there's going to be this guy that comes that claims he's Christ, that does the miracles. That like kind of pretends, but makes it a facade, but makes it believable to people. but he's actually the devil incarnate. And he is, and
so
he
they
is,
set themselves up for it. There can't be a second coming.
Yeah,
because they're saying the second coming will be
the second coming. They say the second coming of Christ is after all that happens. When there is a fake God, people believe in him. He destroys the world, and then the world gets completely destroyed. Then Jesus comes in, and he will come down in great power and glory at that moment. And then he will separate the true sinners, the people that went with the Antichrist, get destroyed.
Yeah.
The people that stayed faithful to Christ, especially in the apocalypse and Armageddon of the world in that time, people that stay with Christ will be saved, and a new earth will be created, which is an even more glorious earth.
Do you think that's
like the prophecy? That's why he's not coming back right now.
No, that makes sense, because and also the warning of the next one implies that they've basically set us up for failure, not in a bad way, because it's obviously part of the plan, but they set us up for failure in the sense that if there is a second coming, it has to be a fake.
Yeah.
Again, not the second coming of Jesus, but a second coming where we think it is.
Yeah,
but we still haven't seen the Antichrist yet.
That's the thing. It's just like you don't know how it's going to manifest itself.
Here's a controversial opinion.
Okay.
What if that person has come and gone? And that was...
No, it hasn't come and gone.
If that was an ancient thing.
No, I don't think...
You don't think so?
I don't think Muhammad was that guy.
Yeah, I didn't say it. Peace be upon him, by the way. Peace be upon him. But that would be a controversial take. I'm surprised the Christians aren't saying that. It's probably a good thing.
I'm sure there's
a good thing.
I'm sure there's a sector.
That's crazy.
But I don't think he was that guy, because the world probably wouldn't exist.
And he didn't claim to be Jesus. He didn't claim to be a miracle worker.
Yeah, because he
just claimed to be a prophet.
Yeah,
period.
Exactly. That's the difference, right? That's the difference.
Yeah.
It's just like, even if I don't believe him, he's it's not that bad, right? It's not that bad.
Yeah.
Because like you will know. There hasn't been yet the person that has come in and done all the miracles again.
Got it. Jesus, and tried to convince everyone.
And try to convince everyone that he's.
Do you think we'll see it in our time?
What?
Do you think we'll see that in our time?
I don't know, man.
I kind of want to.
I don't know, man.
I kind of want to see the revelation.
Maybe AI is that. Maybe AI is that. Like, and I'm thinking
so
about that.
Interesting.
Like, maybe AI is exactly that. Who knows?
The mark of the beast.
Because I don't know. Humans trying to play God. It ends up being ourselves.
That's so interesting.
Own Antichrist, right? So I don't know.
Our own Antichrist.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. But like, that's an interesting thing that I think about. I'm like, yeah, maybe. You never know. We'll see what happens.
That's very interesting.
But that's what I'm saying when it comes to that. It's like Jesus did say that he's going to come back again. But people don't understand what it means when he's coming back again. He's coming back again to save us from complete and utter destruction in the world.
Because that was the initial reason why he came in the first place. Mm-hmm. Because society was probably getting to that point where it was going back to Sodom and Gomorrah.
And it was it was part of the prophecies too. Yeah. Like again, like in the Gospels, so many times they quote about specific verses from the prophet Isaiah, from the prophet Jeremiah.
That's right.
Where it's literally so specific as to what is happening, and this was written 1,000 years before Jesus came. Yeah. To say that he would come and he would do exactly this. Yeah. And Jesus came and did exactly this, and they used it's more so in the book of Matthew, because the book of Matthew is specifically targeted towards Jewish people, right? To try and convince them. So he goes and starts with his genealogy, which is proof that Jesus comes from Adam's seed. That's the whole thing. And he quotes prophecies so many times, the most times in his gospel, I believe, because it's a way to prove that this was actually talked about 1,000 years ago, before anyone could have ever predicted any of these things happen. So specifically talked about in this way. And now this guy's here fulfilling those exact prophecies right now, which is the whole point of that, like of the gospel, right?
And who credits like the existence of these writings and like when they were discovered?
Well, the biggest thing with the prophet Isaiah is the Dead Sea Scrolls.
Yeah,
you heard of those? They talked about them in the Rogan West Huff episode. If you watch the full thing, they'll go over it. Yeah. Basically, the Dead Sea Scrolls were discovered in like the mid 1900s, and they were like dug up in some place in Egypt down like the Nile River, or I don't know, something like that. Who knows? But basically, it was almost a word for word translation of the book of Isaiah, and it dated back, like the manuscripts were dated back to like 1600 years before Jesus' birth, and like they discovered them and they saw the words were actually like a replica. Almost like in the there's this whole controversial thing.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what would that even imply?
In the West Huff Rogan episode,
yeah,
he says that the Dead Sea Scrolls are a like for like replica of what the book of Isaiah we have today, which has those exact prophecies of Jesus.
And that's the controversy?
Right? No, he addressed it later saying, okay, it's not exactly word for word, but it's like 95% exactly what we have, right? Because obviously when it comes to like the most important things like the translations, right? Because that's like the earliest, the Dead Sea Scroll is like the earliest manuscript ever discovered from like a biblical text.
Interesting.
So there's
what language was it?
It's in Hebrew.
It's in Hebrew as well?
It is Hebrew, because it's the Old Testament.
Yeah.
The Old Testament was in Hebrew, the New Testament was in Greek when it was originally
That's incredible. Why did they discover the scrolls then recently?
Yeah, because they just like in the mid 1900s they discovered.
Sorry, I missed that part. So they mid 1900s. Okay, so
but like they dug them up, right? So they like they had been preserved in some sort of thing, bottles or something. Who knows how that happened?
Yeah.
But they're there, and the reason why you can date it back to that time is because like you have so many manuscripts that you can kind of compare them to and say, okay, this actually looks exactly like this, which was written like at this time.
Mm-hmm.
And then this looks like actually our earliest copies of the book of Isaiah, and then it is proven to be like that. And then it's also like you see other manuscripts being discovered that are not scripture, like the Gospel of Thomas, the Gospel of Judas. These are things that exist, but they are proven as like a 3rd to 4th century forgery because of like certain language styles of the time, naming conventions of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have like that's how you can prove like these other ones is fake versus this one is true, and that's mainly what Westhoff deals with.
That's right.
Like that is what he deals with.
Yeah.
Figuring out which ones are real, which ones are not real, based on all of these things.
Yeah.
And that's why I told you about him, and that's why he's so important in this whole like discovery of the truth of Christianity, the truth of Jesus, the truth of all the works. Right?
I had no idea.
So there you go.
So obviously, in terms of like coming down to credibility, Isaiah is pretty important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like it comes like it's probably the most important in terms of like the prophetical scriptures in the Old Testament because it talks so much about the prophecies that Jesus actually fulfills.
And the Old Testament, which is a lot of that gospel, the Old Testament is the word of Isaiah and all of them.
Well, the Old Testament structured like you have the 5, the Torah, right? Those are the big 5.
Yeah.
Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Deuteronomy, and Numbers and Deuteronomy.
Yeah.
Those are the Jewish laws.
Yes.
Right? And then after that, it's kind of like historical. You go through like the book of the Kings and the Chronicles, which is basically like all the kings and all of their terrible, terrible works and stuff. And the story of David, of course, is in that. Story of Solomon, and then you get to the like the I don't know what you would call it. So you have the book of Job, the book of Psalms, and then the book of Proverbs, and then the book of Ecclesiastes. So basically like the wisdom and praising God books. Like they're not historical, but they have a special purpose as well. And then after those you get to the prophets. So Isaiah is just one of those prophets.
Right.
There's probably like 20 of them.
Yes, that's right.
And Isaiah is the longest one, I think, as well.
Yes.
So it just makes it like, I don't know, that much more important. Like it's the longest one, it has the most content in it. And you can prove that one as true.
Were all of the saints prophets?
What do you mean?
So when we think of...
the saints?
Yeah, when we think of any of the saints.
Well, the saints are weird, man. The saints are... I'm not even fully convinced by saints. I read the letters of Paul. Paul mentions the saints all the time.
Sure.
And like when you're talking about praying to God, also pray to the saints that they may, like when you ask for prayer, like in Catholicism specifically.
Yeah.
It's going to be, you talk about the saints, you talk about Mary, you put Mary on a pedestal. Do I really
heard that as well? Mariology.
Right? Well, you have, the Holy Mary, the prayer, right?
That's right.
They're the Hail Mary, sorry. But it's like at the end of the prayer it says, Hail Mary, pray for us sinners now and at the hour of our death.
Right.
So basically, when you pray to saints and when you pray to Mary, you're not worshiping them. You're asking them to pray for you to God. But my idea to that is just like, well, why not just ask God? Like yourself.
I'm just going to ask
you need to
God
ask people to pray for you.
To
right?
pray for me to God.
So saints basically are like, holy people, right? People that exemplified the way Jesus Christ would want us to live
in the flesh.
Yeah. So they are like anointed, and they're anointed into sainthood, like after they die, of course. And they like are said to have a special seat at the table in heaven, right? Because I guess in heaven, and I mean Jesus talks about this a little bit. Like in heaven, there's different ranks as to how holy you are. That gets complicated, so I'm not going to go too deep into that.
It is what it is.
Like the saints are like, right, like like the highest up for humans, right? So, are they actually significant? I have no idea. The prophets didn't like become saints because I think sainthood only happened after Jesus.
Sure.
So the prophets were before Jesus, obviously. So they didn't become saints, but like all the Gospels are saints: Saint Matthew, Saint Mark, Saint Luke, Saint John, Saint Paul. As we discussed, Saint Peter. All of the disciples are saints except for Judas. I'm pretty sure he's not a saint. But
it would be interesting though, and what a story of forgiveness too. And the thing is, you would never want to put Judas on a pedestal because you don't want to promote the idea of suicidal ideation, especially as God. But that idea, that miracle of forgiveness, even for that, would be incredible if you like showed up to heaven and was like, wait, even Judas? And then you're
Judas
and then you're thinking about all your friends who've like killed themselves, and you're like, are they here? Please? And then the hope being that maybe they are, but God just can't promote it. In the same way I've talked to you about this, where I'm like, there are so many things that are like sins and things that are okay. The Bible telling you that it's okay to you can just, as long as you just confess and stop doing it, you will be forgiven. It's not that hard. Implies that there's probably a lot of other stuff that will get forgiven too, but just won't be mentioned.
Yeah, maybe.
Because we can't ever talk about it because we're so flawed.
Because I'm pretty sure that's the only time suicide is mentioned in the Bible.
That's right.
When Judas kills himself.
That's right.
Like even in the Paul letters, Paul talks about all of these different concepts, expands on things, but specifically like killing yourself, I don't think that is actually specifically mentioned. Obviously, I could be wrong.
Yes.
Because there's a lot in it.
Yes. And I think it's because, too, the other way to look at it is, again, if we look at it as life as an experiment to achieve the bodily state of heaven and to get to it naturally, then when you die on your own hand, you're not dying when you're ready, right? So you've not passed the trial.
You played God.
You played God.
Right? You determine your fate for yourself.
That's right.
By killing yourself.
That's right.
That's the whole argument.
That's
right.
right.
That's pretty much the entire argument. You played God.
So what about medical suicide? What do you think about that? Still playing God, but let's say you're in extreme pain.
Like
you're 80 years old, till you're old, till you've lived a life.
Well, I mean,
so you're not even just like a young guy.
So my grandfather did that a decade ago.
Yeah, assisted suicide.
No, it wasn't assisted suicide. Okay. It was like he had cancer and he just said, just stop with the chemo. I don't want to do this anymore.
Okay, right? To be fair, he said stop, and then his body just withered eventually.
Yeah.
I'm talking about let's say he was in so much pain.
Oh no,
he's like put me out of my misery.
I don't know. I think.
Do you think that person can still go to heaven?
I don't know. Depends on what they did in their life.
Isn't that tough? That's a tough one, though.
I think this idea that like when you die is your
ultimate
fate.
Yeah,
is not necessary. It's not true at all. I don't think because it's like it's based on how you live your entire life, right? It's like if you lived your entire. People say like Hitler, for example, like before he died, said Jesus forgive me, and then shot himself. People are saying, "Oh, did he go to heaven because he did that?" My thing is like he's obviously not sincere about that.
That's right.
So and God knows, right? And God knows, right? So it's like, yeah, nice try, buddy, nice try.
So that's like that would be almost
but that's
a concept of blasphemy, right?
Yeah, like that's kind of, so it's like that, but at the same time, if you're in a moment away from God, like you die because you're saying, "Just kill me, kill me," right?
Yeah,
because I don't want to be. Sure, you're playing God in that moment, but if you live, like I think, you know what? Given the circumstances, like you lived a life. You lived the life, and if you abided by the faith, and
it's just pain now.
You were gonna like if they unplugged the machines that were keeping you alive, you would have died in a few days anyway. So
that's a very good. That's a very good point.
So I don't know.
That's a good point.
I don't know. It gets contentious, but that's what I would.
No, that makes perfect sense. Right? I would say it's like your logic is if you're gonna die without the life support anyway. It's not really suicide at that point.
Yeah, it just depends on the situation.
No, but I agree with you.
Like if it's actually like you're definitely gonna die, then okay, yeah, maybe. But if you're, if there's a chance you live and you're just like you don't want the pain, well, I don't know.
It's tough.
It's a gray area, right?
It's tough.
It's with a lot of things, I bring it back, like abortion, right? Gray area.
That's a tough one.
Very gray area,
yeah.
Right? Like, in my opinion, it's murder. Simply put,
I'm
not going to be that guy that beats around the bush. Be like, oh, if it's 1 week, it's okay.
No, life begins at conception.
Like, I understand if it's for the life of the mother.
Yes.
If it's
100%.
If it's I don't want to say the word, like RAP.
100%. I knew
you don't want to say the word. If it's that as well, but even there are people that get that, but then go through with it.
So I want to ask you about that. Yeah. So I do appreciate you making the exception. So it's the idea of like you wouldn't force someone to carry it to term.
Yeah.
If they were.
Yeah. Like
hard.
Like Trump.
Yeah.
Got like a lot of people's votes because of his abortion stance.
Yeah.
His stance is like 15 weeks. Which is like, when you say it in weeks, it's like, oh, it's not that bad. 15 weeks is 3 months.
That's 3 months.
Almost 4 months.
Yeah.
Like, that is an actual, almost fully fledged baby. That's a baby. Point, right? But that's the term. I'm saying, like, if that happens to you and you say you're pregnant and, like, right away you do it because like, of it's a traumatic experience.
I see what you're saying.
Fine. But, like, you can't come out here and be like, later on, be like, oh.
Have you heard the argument against that, though?
I'm sure I have, but it's a load of crap. But sure. Like, go ahead.
Okay, well, the point is that, you know, there's the belief that just because, like, you shouldn't punish the baby for the crimes of another person.
Yeah. No. Oh, I thought you were going on like another direction.
No, I'm going.
That's what I mean.
No, because I was actually surprised with how generous you were being.
Oh, yeah. Well,
I think you're being generous to say, hey, I don't think anyone, especially if it's the very beginning of the pregnancy and they were horribly committed against.
Yeah.
You're saying, okay, fine. Yeah, that's surprisingly generous.
Because I think you can fall into that extremism of it where it's
agreed.
Where it's like, you know, if the life of the mother's at risk, oh, who cares about the life of the mother?
Yeah, that's extreme, right? As hell.
Like, that's where
extreme. Even the Bible would agree that doesn't make sense.
That's where you can get if you fall down that idea. But like, there have been so many people that got that and saw it out and had the kid, and it was like an amazing blessing for them. So I'd say it's still a good thing to go through with it.
100%.
But like, I understand, right? Is what I'm saying.
I agree
because of the trauma of it, right?
I have a similar position as you. I would just want to hear what you had to say about that.
Well, I mean, I say that because it's like, you know, like if there's nothing on the line, the problem is the culture, right? You have a lot of sex, then so many people have a lot of abortions because they don't want to pay the price for their
That's what's mistakes. So gross. That's what's so gross is abortion as birth control.
That's the biggest, that's the biggest problem I have with it. That's why I say it's just murder.
It's gross.
It's just murder. So understand if you're a couple months pregnant with and the man you had sex with left you and you don't want to have the kid because you don't want to have a kid with him, just know you're killing life.
You're killing the kid.
You're killing life. I'm sorry. There's no other way to.
Well, the doctor is killing the kid, but you're letting him do it.
Yeah, you're letting it happen.
Yeah.
You're and that's like controversial because you have the leftist feminist movement be like, no, my body, my choice.
Yeah. So this is what's really funny. Oh God, we can get into that.
That's gonna get crazy.
Well, the my body, my choice thing is like the thing that always irks me is at what point is it the baby's choice? And I'm not gonna really get into it because I'm sure everyone and their mothers has heard this argument ad nauseum. Both sides. What you just said and then what I just said in response, which is at what point though is it the baby's choice? And so for me, what the problem is, since I'm not some like theistic defender of babies and faith and love and truth and justice, I don't go out there and counter women and tell them or just tell anyone in general they're wrong. Yeah. Really, I don't get into abortion arguments at all.
No, that's fair.
So this is actually the first time I'm ever really sharing my actual belief. This is the first time I'm talking about
on the podcast. I only mentioned it because we were talking about like suicide, assisted death, and this, in my opinion, is another form of assisted death, which is killing a baby.
Just killing a baby. And so then it comes down to, before I didn't have an opinion and I was just pro-choice because it felt good. Because it was like, I don't have to think about it. The women in my life, they know what they're talking about. I don't want to step on the toes of the women in my life, right? But then there was a lot of, I almost wanted to avoid it because I wanted to see if I could get away with it. But I watched this channel called Abolitionist Rising.
Okay.
So they're not pro-life, they're abolitionists. And the argument is really interesting is that the argument my body, my choice was actually used to justify slavery. So what they used to say,
like the slave owners would,
my slave, my prerogative, was the actual slogan they used. And so what was really interesting was the controversial take to really get them to talk and also to insult them. Like, instead of just yelling at people, you're a murderer, which is what pro-lifers do. Yeah. And it really gets nowhere.
Well, I know.
Even if you believe that.
This is my thing, right?
Yeah.
If I had sex with a woman before marriage,
yes.
if I sinned
yes.
and she came out as pregnant,
yes.
I would drop everything I'm doing to make sure that kid 100%. Lives a great life. That is my philosophy.
Your life is no change. It's your fault.
Yes, and I'm taking the responsibility. That's my 100% stance on that. And it's also from a Christian standpoint. I'm trying to wait till marriage.
Yes.
If I fall out of that, and I'm doing it with a woman that I don't want to be with,
you better correct that mistake.
Then that's on me.
100%.
And I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that kid makes it out alive.
Agreed.
And that he has a good life.
Agreed.
Right? That's how I'm going to go about it, because I think that's more important than my own selfish desires. And that's where I think it falls into. It's like you're being selfish, being like, oh yeah, like you made the mistake, you had the sex, because that's the culture.
That's right.
It's just the sex. Oh, you're about the feeling, the pleasure, birth control, condoms, all that stuff.
But
contraception, and it's like,
you don't want to deal with the consequence.
Yeah,
you just want the pleasure.
Yeah, exactly.
And so
that's where for me it just gets a little bit like, okay, man, cuckoo crazy land. World.
It does get cuckoo crazy because you're not applying the logic consistently. So what's funny is that when people hear, so the problem with pro-life, I actually don't agree with pro-life or pro-choice. There's my opinion. There's my controversial opinion. Pro-life comes at it from the perspective that it is murder, therefore you're the murderer, therefore you're the sinner, therefore you're the problem, you're evil, okay? But you're talking to someone who doesn't believe that. You can't convince them of that. So here's a better take. If you want to stay consistent, it's your body, it's your choice, it's your property, it's your choice, then what that means, and also you don't believe in God, so you don't believe humans are made in the image of God.
Yeah.
Therefore, which is ironic because progressives fight for equality.
Yeah, you can do whatever you want.
But the only thing that makes us all equal is if you believe that we are all equal. And how do we do that? The only way to do that is either A, you just somehow believe that.
Oh,
You just do. Even though the problem with just believing that is I can look at Matthew and explain how we're not equal.
Yeah.
We have a lot of physiological differences. He plays soccer. He could probably kick my ass. So right there's a difference, right? Yeah. So we're not equals.
Yeah.
But we are equals to, we consider each other brothers or neighbors because we know that we're both made in the image of God. And if I think I'm better than you, I'm committing an egregious sin.
It's not true.
It's not true at all. It's also just not true.
If I think I'm better than anyone else, it's not true.
That's right.
And I've had to be humbled in many ways.
You have to be humbled.
For me to kind of get to that point where it's like every time I think I'm better than everyone else, I find out really quickly
how you're not.
Yeah, really quick.
Especially because when you insult someone that way, you're not only bringing out their ability to prove you wrong, you're not only bringing out their ability, but they're trying to prove you wrong. So now they're going to do it even harder, right? So anyway,
so when it comes to
the abortion thing, what's really interesting take is that the way to look at this is, and it was such a good one because it seems to get people to really talk. He stops them and he doesn't say, you're a murderer, you're evil, you're going to hell, which doesn't do anything, by the way.
Yeah, it doesn't.
He goes and he has a sign and it says, if you're chances are if you're pro-abortion, you would have been pro-slavery. And that gets people to talk, right? Because what progressive wants to say they were pro-slavery? Like, what?
So that's the whole point of the show, right?
That's right.
You're saying that.
And so then they come and they're like, how can you compare those two? And he's like, well, actually, your argument is my property, my choice. That's exactly what slave owners said. And what was really interesting is the people who got rid of slavery were abolitionists.
Yeah, they valued humans. Like they had like a hierarchy. Humans were seen as lower because you're the master.
Because you're the master. But then the abolitionists came and said, but all people are equal in the eyes of God because we're all made in the image of God. But that means all people. So then we start to apply it to abortion because even at conception, then that becomes a human being.
Yeah, that's very good. That's very good.
But see, the problem is,
pay attention. This guy, like, dude, I mean, good stuff, man.
Very good. No, it is good stuff. I have to say, it really was what pulled me, because people are not logically consistent. Mm-hmm. So then it's like, okay, so then the argument breaks down. Okay, is that a human in the? And like, no, it's not. It's a clump of cells. Well, you're a clump of cells.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just a,
Well, it's just a fetus. Well, do you know what fetus means? Fetus means little human in Latin.
Well, there's this thing, I don't know what they're called, but there's this program they do where they like get people to do like an x-ray scan, like they're pregnant, they do x-ray scan like 2 months in, they're thinking about having an abortion.
Yeah.
And they get them to like see the kid inside of them. And like, I think it lowers abortions by like, what, 30% or something?
It makes sense.
Right? Because you've seen it now.
Because now you have the attachment.
It's like, oh my goodness, that's a little me inside of me. I'm creating it. And when you don't see that, when you don't realize that, and you think it's just a, oh, poor me, I have to spend money to take care of this kid. I have to, suffer my own consequences. I have to maybe be with this guy that I don't actually want to be with. I just wanted the pleasure. And that's where it falls down that slippery slope of like convincing yourself that that's a good thing. But
that's where it is.
It's not a good thing.
It's not a good thing. And I think that's where I fall. There's where I can come to a level of understanding, but also that level of understanding, what I thought was me being open, I realized was me confessing to my own sin, which is that when I was younger, the part of me that was pro-choice was I just didn't want to get into fights and arguments that were just very emotionally charged. Yeah. But also because I guess a little part of me was like, kind of, if it ever happens to me, I would probably want them to get an abortion.
Oh yeah. Do you want kids?
Oh, I do now.
You want kids now?
Now I do. But when I was 16.
Oh, when you were 16. Oh,
and I'm thinking, if I get this girl pregnant.
Yeah. No, you're 16. I mean, really, when you're 16, like,
but it's
most of the time you're kind of,
But it's an easy way out.
Yeah.
So what you realize is like, you're like, there's no good way to look at this. I get squeamish at things like Dominion.
Like, what do you mean?
Like seeing animals get mistreated.
Okay.
And they're not even supposed to be made in the image of God, apparently. So when I see that, how can I remain morally consistent when I'm like, that's wrong, I'm going to stop eating certain meats, I'm only going to get farm fresh meats, and blah, 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 and I take this like vegan approach to life, but I won't do that for human babies.
Yeah. Again, it's like lack of consistency.
There's no
lack
consistency.
Of the consistency in your beliefs.
It's just convenience.
Yeah.
Because I
whatever works best for
wanted the ability to have an abortion. Yeah. I didn't want to get into an emotionally charged argument with women. The thing, though, I do want to make clear to the camera is that I don't hold any of these beliefs as of this moment to a degree that I can defend.
You've gone through, life, right?
That's right.
The journey,
That's right.
And you've ended up where you are now, and there's still more journey, right?
There's still more journey.
Like, you're not in your 60s, right? You're older than
That's
me,
right.
But like, you're unk status, but you're not that old.
I am unk at this point. It's bad. I don't like it. Every day my back hurts.
So you want kids?
Yeah, I want kids.
Yeah. Do you want like a big house? You want like as many as your woman can pump out?
That's crazy. Well, you know what's funny? When we start talking, and this is what's interesting. When we first started talking, and I don't want to call out because she's a beautiful, beautiful woman, but she's a secular woman.
I wanted, your current girl.
My current partner.
Yeah. No, I wanted to circle back. Like, I was kind of always wanting to circle back to like what happened for you and your previous partner to break up,
right?
And why, and like what's the situation now with your? Like, I wanted to circle back to that, but obviously we got into a very good, theological faith talk, which is always good.
It's always good.
Right?
It's always good. I honestly, I had a feeling too abortion would come up, but and I got worried because I was like, I don't want my opinions to be something of controversy, but just more of the same way that we discuss religion is like, I'm not sitting here saying, yes, I'm accepting Jesus today.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is,
you still have room to grow.
I have room to grow, and I'm seeing the other perspective now. I'm seeing how abortion can be viewed as murder. And so now, if I accept it as murder, I can now see that entire position. It becomes completely clear to me. So I am allowing that position to be made clear to me. And I think it's a very, very good point. And also, I do love seeing progressives get mad when you say, oh, so you'd be for slaves? And they're like, what? And you're like, that? I don't know why. I get a kick out of that, to be honest.
Well, I mean,
yeah,
you're kind of exposing them.
Because
you're
exposing
their
logical inconsistency.
And that's
100%, because they're not for all humans.
Don't worry about being controversial. Like, if this episode gets 100 views, that's a good thing.
That's a good thing.
Your girlfriend, it probably won't go back to her. Although, with the phones and the way they spy on you, I'm true. Sure there'll be a way where, for some reason,
it's true.
She finds the episode somewhere at some point. I'm sure of it. But like, in terms of right now, you don't have to worry about it.
Well, I won't talk about my current partner, but I will say that I had a partner in the past say, that I was like, oh, if we get pregnant, what would be because you have to have this conversation.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't have this conversation. Yeah. You absolutely have to have this conversation. Because the conversation isn't, do you want to have kids? The conversation is, if we get pregnant, what are we going to do about it? And so then the conversation becomes, do we want kids, right? And she said no, and if we get pregnant, I will abort it.
Oh.
No, but at the time, I wasn't like, yes, cha-ching. But I also wasn't against it either.
But you were younger. This was a while ago, right?
Well, this was actually the most recent attainment of it. So at this point in my life, I was starting to cure the anti-abortion argument, and I was like, and I was more open to it rather than just being like, no, I love my girls. I don't want to piss off my girls. That's literally the only reason I didn't argue about abortion. I just didn't want to piss off the girls in my life. That's it. But then I thought about that, and then I saw the argument against abortion. And now I'm thinking about it. Before, I could never apply it. Oh, because I'd never really get an abortion, or I've never had one. And now I'm sitting here, now it's real.
If you did, what would be your next steps, right?
And so the answer was I would let her get the abortion. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
And then that's what I'm like, I need to know what that means.
Yeah.
So then I started opening my mind up to what abortion really is, and how it makes other people feel, and also what it would be in the eyes of God. Not that I cared, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I still wanted to be like, hey, if there is a God, again, I'm just speaking in the most fair way possible. If there is a God, don't want to piss him off. Yeah. So what does God think about abortion? Yeah. Oh, he thinks it's murder? Okay. Probably not a good idea.
Well, then. Here's the thing. In the Bible, abortion
doesn't even get mentioned.
Because it didn't
exist.
It's a modern thing. It's a modern concept. Back then, you made the mistakes, you had to pay for it.
You had to pay for it.
8 children with 8
different
people.
That's right.
But that was how it was.
But murder was still wrong.
Yeah. So it's like, maybe they would kill them after they got born, or they'd find some
but that would be very sinful.
Very insane way of making it happen.
Yeah.
Like not even gonna get into that, but the idea of a doctor can come in and just stick a needle
dunking
in you,
them in the rivers,
and that's it. You're done.
Yeah.
Your belly fades, and it's like nothing happened. Right? You don't actually feel it. Right?
I know.
You don't actually feel the effect of it, because it's like you don't actually that's the thing.
So
that's why seeing the kid makes a difference, because then it makes people think it's like, oh, that thing is just going to not exist if I go through with this.
That's right.
That's why it makes a difference. It just flips a switch. It actually makes it relatable, makes it real to people.
That's right.
So it's like, I can't point to something in the Bible. I'm just kind of extrapolating based on things that were talked about.
That's right.
That's like, it is a human life.
Yeah, exactly.
No matter how early on in the cycle, it's a human life.
So the only thing we can't agree on, and this is what would change everything, is because right now, it's sort of like the way that Jesus presented the Bible, or the way that really every prophet had to present the Bible to that current society, which is try to meet them in the middle, right? So it's almost like abortion's wrong if it's after this much time.
Yeah,
is sort of the secular middle ground.
Well, I mean, that's kind of how
the secular middle ground.
That's how you have to go about it. But in my opinion, it only is applied if it's like the extreme circumstances, right? The life of the mother
and then obviously the very horrible thing. The
very horrible R word. But then that's when I could give a little bit of grace. Like my own opinion. It's just opinions.
Just my own opinion, guys.
Take it with the smallest grain of salt.
Yeah, because true anti-abortionists are going to sit here and say they will
do whatever they want.
They'll say the moment.
They can do whatever they want. It's my at the end of the day, I'm gonna do what I do with my life. You're gonna do what you do with your life. Sure. I'm trying to bring people to God here.
That's good.
If whatever happens, happens. Right?
No,
it's
you're
like
right.
At the end of the day, we'll all figure it out in the end, you know.
And there should be some mercy. There should be a path forward.
Yeah.
So when you say,
it only gets to the extreme. Like if it's if those bad moments, then I'll allow that grace. But if you're literally even if it's
contraceptive,
even if it's a weekend, and it's just because I don't want this, then that's First of all, you're not even giving it the chance to speak to you in a more spiritual way.
Yeah.
You're not even giving it the chance. You're cutting it off at the source.
Yeah.
It's not even a human yet. It's an embryo, but I think that's still life. And that's, whatever.
It is fundamentally life. Good. I think that's the problem.
If you need that middle ground, that middle ground is definitely not 15 weeks. That's way too much middle ground. Way too much middle ground, dude. 4 months, dude. Like
I'm just saying though, it is fundamentally life. Mm-hmm. So the problem that people can't get past is it life that is worth like keeping?
Yeah.
And so the problem with today's society and the reason why there's a battle now is that they can't agree on that notion.
Yeah.
So people say the moment that the sperm hits the egg and it literally starts to develop into the fetal stage, the moment it does that, it's life. It's a baby.
Well, technically,
other people are like, "Well, the club smells it." Well, to be fair, sperm is life, but it's also just a carrier of genetic code.
Yeah.
Similarly, the egg is just
you need both.
Is just the genetic code in stasis.
The actual life, right?
Yeah. So I actually get that now. That's why masturbation is not the worst sin in the world. But it's
still bad.
But it still gets up there.
Still bad.
Hey, I remember seeing this thing in GTA 4. It's this cutscene of this psychopath, and he says, "Do you think that masturbation is the true gift from God?" He's like, "Whoa, man, back off! You're crazy." But it got me thinking about it because for a woman, it is pure. What's wrong with masturbation in a woman? It is wrong for a man because you can come up with a reason for it because of expulsion, but a woman's expelling nothing. So how is masturbation wrong for a woman? Yeah,
I don't know. I've never.
100. Yes.
Is there not something that comes out of
No, it's the same as urine. It's the same logic as urine.
Well,
you can edit all this out, but don't worry.
It's the idea of pursuing pleasure and pursuing something that makes you feel good.
But that's not always wrong.
Over the discipline.
But that's not always wrong.
I think it's wrong in the eyes of God.
Okay, so then can we eat fruit because it tastes good?
Yeah. But I mean, that's not the same thing.
That is the same thing.
It's not the same thing because
consumption just for the sake of pleasure.
But fruit's actually good for you.
100%.
That's the thing.
Okay, but
but like we know, kind of just based on principles that like just watching pornography is bad for your brain.
Yeah, but we're not talking about. Let's
bad for your
remove
hormones,
porn.
Bad all of that stuff.
Remove porn. Yeah, let's go straight monkey. You're just a monkey in a forest, and you just need it. You just need it. You just need to do it. You just gotta do it. There's nothing around. And really, if you think about it, if you pushed yourself onto another being, that's fundamentally worse.
What do you mean?
Forcing yourself onto something else. Rather than just doing it to yourself.
I don't know, bro.
Listen.
I guess, I don't know.
I just think that, like, when it comes down to it, because I'm starting to realize that when I used to do that, and I would like, "Oh, guys, this is sin against God because I'm like killing my sperm," and it's like, no.
You always that's the thing. You always replenish it.
It's regenerative, and also, but the sperm itself, even though they're alive, it's the same logic as like, by living, things are dying for me because my cells are living and dying constantly. Like, they're not even living that long in there.
They have to get out somehow, and they do get out in other ways.
So my point is like, it's like, okay, so like if you do it every single day, and it F's up your brain chemistry, that's going against God because God created your body as a temple, and you're literally ruining the biological balance He created. Okay, I'll give you that.
There you go.
But what about once a week, once a month, once a year? Is it real? Is the concept of masturbation the problem, or is it the inconsistency of it?
Let's move it away from God. All right.
Sure. Okay.
If you're the type of person that is going after the pleasure seeking, how is that going to fare when you're actually in a relationship with a woman? How is that going to fare when you're actually like in the moment where maybe you'll abuse her, maybe you'll go too far because in your mind's been messed up by constant just that seeking of it, and then it becomes that animalistic state of you're just seeking that pleasure. Even if it's only once a week, it's still enough because the temptation's still there. Or once a month, again, still enough. Once every 3 months. it's still enough because the temptation's still there. It's not necessarily about doing it. It's about where your mind is at. But so then how will that actually fare?
Yeah.
When you're in a real relationship, like if you want like the type of woman that you do want for yourself in your life, are you going to be able to keep a woman like that? Or are you going to disrespect her? Are you going to be lustful? Are you going to find yourself adultering, cheating, lusting after other women?
Okay, you could technically any scenario is possible.
That's how I would say when you're like it just starts from a small thing, 100%. Starts from the justification of saying, oh yeah, I can just do this. But then if you can let it go too far, and it's easy to let it go too far because that's how the devil gets in your mind.
But is the problem pleasure seeking? Is that the problem? Is it wrong to seek pleasure?
Well, with this case, with the lust of the masturbation.
But why is this case special compared to any other case of seeking pleasure?
Well, it's not necessarily any other case. Like, it feels good to be angry. It's harder to.
That's true.
It's harder to, if you're angry at someone, to repel it and understand them and forgive them.
100%.
It's easier to just lash out.
100%.
It's more pleasures to you to just tell someone, 100%. Insult someone. Right, in the moment you'll feel better.
Okay, but what if the opposite is true?
What do you mean?
What if apologizing makes you feel better?
Oh, I don't know.
What if recompense and worship makes you feel better?
Well, I think,
but you do it in the pursuit of pleasure.
Fundamentally,
yeah.
Like the human evil that we all have is to say that anger will, like the anger, which is the bad sin, will be pleasurous over the more kind of stoic and respectable, honorable trait.
Sure.
It's the same thing with the lust of it. If you're, there's only one reason you justify masturbation at all, and it is because it feels good. But that's the only reson why you're justifying it.
I disagree.
What's the other reason there?
The other reason is that your body is literally signaling for you to do it because of just how intense it can be.
I mean, but like,
why would, because we're made in God's image. Why would he not?
Yeah, but
the same way that he lets us expel our food, is that not what he's allowing us to do through self-pleasure? Because he's giving us a way to basically say, okay, you're pent up. There's this thing that you're supposed to lust after, but you're in an environment that doesn't allow you to do that right now.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, this is a weird one. I'll tell you that. This is a weird one.
Here's what I'll give it to you this way: is that if you do it unchecked, it's wrong. Because unchecked, you're not understanding why you're doing it. You're just doing it for pleasure.
Well, I think
wrong.
Like your body releases sperm when you pee. Like, and it's like it's not like it's not like
so is it bad?
Not like it's
not
bad. No, that's not a bad thing. That's just natural.
Right.
So it's like I'm saying, like, to say the argument that you have to do it because your body wants you to release that. Your body will find other ways to release it. It becomes like a discipline. So if you have, I'll just say, you have to have wet dreams, right?
Sure.
You're gonna have to, but it's the discipline of being able to control yourself and control your pleasures. If you I have to say it because we're being completely vulnerable here.
No, it's just funny.
You're going to have that is a way that your body will then, like, you're not just gonna die.
Yeah.
Your body will either with your
won't.
Sperm, you're not gonna die.
No.
It's either gonna reabsorb it into your body. It'll come out in your piss.
Yeah.
Or you have wet dreams.
Yeah.
Right. Which those that's it. It's not going to
All
kill
right.
you. But I'm saying it's
like
I mean, if you really hate like the idea of having to wake up in the middle of the night because of a wet dream, I guess that ball in your court, right?
Right.
Balls in your court.
I see what you're saying.
The ball's in your court.
Okay,
But it becomes a discipline.
All right.
That it's the discipline of doing it because it's like you're resisting your own body's evils, which is in the pleasure of the lust, to then, be more glorifying to God and to like the discipline of being a better person. Through that.
I concede that I wouldn't really know where to go with this, aside from just that it was actually I used to think that masturbation was a terrible, terrible sin.
Mm-hmm.
And then actually, ironically, the conversation about abortion, not today, just in general, the information I've been learning is actually made me feel better about masturbation.
Okay.
Was the irony.
Okay.
Because of how sperm actually works. Because again, it's not like you're just like murdering innocent souls constantly. It's really just cells.
Yeah. I've never seen masturbation as that, like murdering tiny souls, because I know cells. It's just cells.
It's just cells at that moment.
But like I see it more as like a discipline thing, like just like a.
But
like
I agree that there is a
like
discipline.
Same thing when it comes to smoking weed. You can say
you
say the same.
Oh, it
thing
helps
for
me
smoking
focus.
Weed.
Oh,
It helps you focus.
It gives me an appetite.
It helps you calm down.
Yeah.
It takes your mind off of the stresses of life. It feels good.
Yeah.
You can say that.
Yeah.
But it's a discipline to say that, okay, I'm not actually going to pursue that. I'm going to go and
I agree.
And enjoy the fruits of my labor without that extra thing that is the outside thing going into your body.
And I think the enjoying the fruits of the labor is actually the key. Mm-hmm. So the problem with a lot of self-pleasure is that there's not really a lot of work that goes into it. Mm-hmm. So that's the other problem.
So yes, all right. I'm going to hard switch subjects.
No, that's great. That's perfect.
Let's get off of this.
In my head, I'm thinking, this is still great because the next conversation is going to be about my partners.
Yeah.
Well, so it's still not a bad transition.
Yeah. Well, that's what I want to know.
Yeah.
Like what happened to cause you guys to break up the first relationship? Because the reason you came to Toronto is for a girl.
Yes.
Just to put it bluntly for you.
Yes.
That's the reason why you came.
Yes.
Mr. Simp, right?
I'm a simp.
So it's all good. I'm all good.
Simp.
But what happened where it didn't work out, and what's the situation with this new girl? And obviously you're going to be leaving.
Yeah.
So how would you be how are you going to be dealing with all of that?
Well, it's funny because just how much life changes very quickly. And if it wasn't for the first partner, I wouldn't have met this other person, right? And that's how life works and what makes it so interesting. But I got here, back in February, what is it like now? So 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And the tough part to talk about is that because no one likes to just admit this because it's just going to paint you in a bad light without any context. But I definitely suffer. I have anger problems.
Okay.
I have anger issues.
Okay.
I've never been violent. It was actually, I'll talk about this. I've never, I've only in my relationships, I've only ever been abused domestically.
Okay.
So in my first relationship, my girlfriend did hit me. She just slapped me. And as a man, like a lot of people are like, that's still bad. It's like, yeah, but like when you're a man, especially when you're a teen, you can kind of, you're like, You get slapped and you just sort of take it. And also TV kind of tells you that it's normal for a woman to be so mad they can slap you.
Yeah.
So I guess in the time I just didn't think much of it. And I was just like, I guess I deserved that. Mm-hmm. And then the other thing is, I like to argue. Mm-hmm. I hate it and I like it. I don't like the end result of arguing, but I can't help myself, right? And so I argue people into corners sometimes, and when they can't handle that, they lash out. Yeah,
of course.
And so what I realized is this girl that I came to see was like very much exactly like me.
So you clashed.
We clashed.
Clashed big time.
The only difference was she came from a Muslim family that was not afraid of hitting the shit out of the people that were pissing them off. And I came from a white family that it still did spank my ass, but also was like they're more hesitant of it because it's like it's Western.
Yeah.
It's like I could have called CPS on them. They know that, right? We're getting to that era now. Yeah. I was definitely of that era of like we can spank you, but we can't hit you.
Yeah.
We can yell at you.
So you got into like fist fights?
No, actually, we would just get into these stupid arguments over stupid shit I mean stupid, and they were my fault, guys. Oh. This is the thing I talk about in the relationship. I don't see the breakup as her fault at all. I made I just said a lot of dumb shit, couldn't handle myself, was getting angry and jealous for no good reason. Constantly jealousy there's a reason why envy is a sin. Mm-hmm. It's a terrible, terrible feeling. Mm-hmm. It does nothing for anyone.
Well, what were you jealous of?
Everything and nothing. Oh, you're hanging out with men? Oh God. Like you just don't, there's just things. It's the most beautiful thing I learned in a relationship was that's actually where I learned faith. Mm-hmm. At some point, you just have to be like, literally throw all of what you believe is logic out the window and just trust them for the sake of trusting them.
Yeah.
That's it.
Put your faith in them.
Put your faith in them.
That's the example.
So I never could do that. Mm. And every time I try, I was basically just deluding. It was like the most delusional shit ever. It was just bad. And then when she'd call me and tell me these things, and I'd freak the hell out and we would fight and we'd get in these angry arguments. Yeah, and one day she choked me.
Oh, man.
And then I had to forgive her. Mm-hmm. But it created this power dynamic because I didn't use it against her by saying, oh, remember that time you choked me? But I used that anger I felt.
Yeah.
And how dare you do that to me? It made me justified in all the ways I could treat her now. I could be like, yo,
you could just do it back to her.
I could, well, not choke her, but I could verbally abuse her now.
Oh yeah, well,
I basically had ammo to abuse her verbally because she abused me physically.
Yeah, you have the what's the word? I don't know what the word is, but you have that leverage.
I had leverage.
That's the word.
Well, anyway, that leverage lasted about a month before she got over my shit and broke up with me.
Yeah.
But that's okay because for the first couple of months, for the first half a year, it destroyed me. Mm-hmm. My favorite artist became Joji. You know, just
sorry,
your audience will know Joji.
I'm sure someone.
And
especially if there's like one of my friends watching this, if they've made it this far somehow.
Joji, you put the tags, it just mentions Joji, like the video tags. And there'll just be this tiny little sliver. It mentions. It said, like Filthy Frank?
No.
Oh, yeah, wow. That's two different generations.
Oh, that's not my genre. So.
Well,
I have lots of genres of music, but not that. So.
Joji is like very much like breakup,
like
love
sad,
of my life, sad indie music. Mm-hmm. And dude, I was destroyed. I was depressed. I was lost. I didn't even find God yet at that point. But I did find Muslim faith, but not because of God, but because of the community of the Muslims themselves. So I actually ended up joining religion, but for the people, not for God.
Not for God, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then I did pray 5 times a day. So who was I praying to? Right? So
you were praying to the idea
of God. I was reaching. I was like, please give me something. But you know what? I was begging God for a lot of stuff. But I did follow the rules. I did, and because I meant it. I prayed for everyone first, and then I prayed for myself. But I guess to answer, I'm tangenting a little bit because it was all part of the same journey because it all happened in the same summer. But truly, the relationship didn't last long.
Did you think that you guys were ever going to go that far?
I thought we were going to get married.
Yeah?
I loved this woman. I've never felt like true love before, and I thought it was love, but I think what it was it was a love maybe for myself because she's me, but the female version of me with the same exact birthday.
So maybe it just wasn't,
it was bad.
It just wasn't meant to be.
It was bad. But the thing is, the problem I came to realizing what really put me into a deeper depression. Once I got past and over her, the part that kept me there was being like, but this is how I've lost every relationship. It's because I just get angry and I argue over stupid shit and I get jealous. So it became this journey of, I'm either single for the rest of my life or that can never happen again. And it wasn't like with every other relationship, it became, oh, am I ready to date again? Oh, am I ready to date again? That was like the youthfulness, right? Now it was like, I can't date unless I know for a fact I fixed this problem.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I saw a bit of that when you were super mad about that guy.
Yes.
When he was super late.
And I was yelling into the phone.
Yeah. But,
that is the manifestation of my anger.
I think what you need is like someone who, I don't know if the current woman you have is that, but probably what I think you need is someone who instead of lashing back at you, she is quiet. Which could be bad if you don't control it because she could start internalizing it and thinking there's something wrong with her. But
that's correct.
It's probably a good thing because it doesn't fuel it further. Right, because if you start angry and then she gets angry back at you, then it's just that cycle. I've never been in a relationship. But
no, imagine
that's how it is.
You made a good prediction, and you also predicted my insecurity of the relationship. She's so docile and so patient with me that I worry she's internalizing stuff. So then my insecurity doesn't come from oh, I fucked up again. Yeah. My insecurity comes from, hey, when I fucked up, are you just being polite and not telling me, like, are we good? Yeah.
Well, you have to be honest.
You have to be.
You have to actually, break the fourth wall.
Constantly. I do it all the time.
I hate Ben Shapiro, with a passion, but he made a very good point, which he said, when he was, when his woman wanted to start an argument, his wife wanted to start an argument with him.
Yeah.
Right? So he was like, okay, outside of the argument, is this a feelings issue and you just want to argue, or is this something that I can solve?
Yes.
And that was basically what he said. And then they determined that, they preempt that. So then, he knows if it's just her trying to pick a fight or if it's actually something he can solve.
If you can actually solve.
Which is a good point.
No, that's a really great point. No,
right?
do you know why?
Yeah.
Because you don't even have to think of it from the perspective of a woman. You just think about your own perspective. When someone's just emotional and their body's in fight or flight and they just want to fight, it's almost like giving into anger for pleasure's sake, right?
Yeah.
When you are a partner or a friend who wants to help them through that question is important, because sometimes allowing someone to just be emotional and then also just to be on their side is actually healthy. It's therapeutic. It helps them get through stuff. And sometimes that's all people want, but they don't know how to present it because they're already angry. But then the other thing is true, that when we are someone's partner, especially when we're problem solvers, like I'm a problem solver. All I want to do is give you the solution, and all you're doing is denying the solution because you don't actually want the solution. You just wanted to be upset. Yeah.
Well, that's Shapiro's issue. Obviously, let him do what he does.
Let him do what he does.
This specific thing, I understand that it makes a lot of sense.
It makes a lot of sense.
But what you have to do is, like, when you're not angry anymore, you have to, like, go back to her. Be like,
of course.
Be like, did I really hurt you when I said this? If so, I'm sorry. If not, I'm ready to move on. Like that, like, again,
and her answer's always no. Her answer's always no.
So maybe she is that person that's just such tough skin that she doesn't care.
Like, and so now I need to get to the point of, like, accepting that, having faith in her, and so that way I don't let my insecurity ruin a good thing.
So how long have you been together then?
So for her, it's actually funny, because with her, so I knew her. She was my best friend for the same amount of time as this other girl.
Oh, wow!
But in person,
okay,
so that's already better.
Okay,
and then we started dating, and we've been dating for a year now.
Okay, that's good. So you're going, right?
We're going.
So what is the plan for, long distance relationship?
I know, because you heard what I said earlier, right?
The whole reason you came here is because you didn't want to have a long distance relationship.
100%.
And now you're here, and then you're going to leave here to do a long distance relationship. Obviously, you have different reasons, and life changes, and different things cause different circumstances.
Yeah,
you gotta do what you gotta do, right? But how are you gonna do that, right? How are you gonna make that work?
So when that conversation came up, a lot of people, it's funny, is everyone asked me. I didn't realize how old school and like old and married I'm already becoming to this woman. Because it's true. Normally, when I did things in relationships when I was younger, I wouldn't hide it from them. I just never felt the need to be like letting them know every little thing or every decision I need to make or every emotional journey I was going through. But everyone would ask me, "Did you tell your girlfriend yet?" I'm like, "Did I tell my girlfriend?" The moment I had the revelation, she was on the phone with me, and I'm literally spewing it out. I have to go home. I'm in debt. Things are not working. Yeah. I need to figure this out, and I need to make a bold move right now. But I was already crying. It was hard. It was not easy.
Well, yeah, because you have to. You're fighting a bigger fight, which is the fight of debt, which is a real battle. It's not just a oh, you get debt, it's okay, fantasy, it's all good. We can buy so many things with the money we don't have.
No, with the money we don't have.
Yeah. So, but then when they come calling, you got to pay them back, right?
So I would rather be in a position of security.
So you're fighting a bigger fight, and to spend like a year hard tackling that debt, not having to pay rent or for food, and then regrouping yourself.
Yes.
And then coming and then either coming back or just
coming back.
100%. Okay, so
I'm coming back for her.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know, depending on where you guys want to settle, right?
She's not settling. Her family's here, and I've never been. Like you said, I'm a simp.
Well, yeah, you already came.
Exactly. I'm a simp. I can make the adjustment. I'm not so close. Love you guys. Love my family, but I'm not so close with them that I need to be around them. Well, but. I almost said her name. My partner. That's okay. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter.
I would have bleeped it out in post-production anyway.
Beautiful.
It's all good.
My partner, and just to respect her privacy for now, because she never once gave me consent to ever mention her in this. So, she definitely is a family-oriented person. I'm not ever going to take her away from her family. So the plan was to go home, sort out my debts, so I can also be a man.
Yeah.
And buy her things. And then when we move in together, not have the debt man come and she's helping me pay off. Which, by the way, this is how you know she's a beautiful woman. She's constantly been taking me out to dates because she knows my financial situation. I had a wedding I needed to go to. I was like, sorry, I got to cancel the wedding because I have no money. She paid for it.
Oh man.
I didn't ask her. Let me be clear. I didn't come begging for money.
Put a ring on it.
100,000%, dude. I'm marrying this woman.
Like if you guys are able to keep it good for long distance,
that's the ultimate test.
Right, that's the biggest test. How long you can spend away from each other.
Yeah.
But you said she's not really like God. Like she doesn't really believe or anything.
Yeah, she's not like secular atheist, but she's just agnostic. She's not God fearing
doesn't really know, doesn't really care.
Yeah, she's agnostic.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
But basically, the only thing I can say with that is it's like I've seen relationships get ruined because there's no God aspect of it.
Yeah.
And that can lead to a slippery slope. So that's the only thing. But obviously, people can change, grow. But in terms of everything else that you've told me, she is definitely someone who you should just put a ring on right now.
That's what I'm saying. And the thing is I don't think her family would be opposed. Like, we would obviously get married under the eyes of God. Mm-hmm. So we have to determine what does that mean to us as our family? Will we raise our children a certain way? And I don't think. Yeah,
well, that's how you have, because like this is a big thing, right? There's is it 3 or 4 big factors of marriage? You can disagree on the micro. You cannot disagree on the macro. You have to agree on the macro.
Have to agree on the macro.
So politics. How you view politics.
I know where you got this from. I know who you're quoting right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can tell me after.
Okay.
I'm sure you've watched a lot of them. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because of your situation.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So politics. Well, actually, no. Okay. Technically, I'm quoting 2 people here.
Sure.
I have no idea. So you could be.
But one for sure.
So it's the political issues.
Political issues.
Money. How you're going to handle the money.
Who handles the debt?
Yeah. Who handles the debt? How your accounts are going to be held? Like whose accounts?
Yeah.
Your religious viewpoints. Right. Like, is this a godly household? Are we going to view it as
godly,
as that,
secular?
How are we going to do that? Yeah. We have to agree on
that. And then also drugs.
I was going to say in-laws.
Yes, and in-laws.
I'm pretty sure in-laws is the 4th one.
Yeah.
Like are in-laws going to be an issue, right? Like, are there people in their family that you don't like?
That's right.
For whatever reason, that's a big issue. It's a big issue.
Yeah, it is. And why? And then like getting to the bottom of that. I think one of the issues is, it was lifestyle was one of them.
Okay.
So lifestyle then comes down to, are you going to be healthy, or are you going to be
Oh no, family is also another. So I messed up the whole.
No, it's okay. There's a lot of categories.
It's family.
Yeah.
Like, do we want kids? How many? All that type of stuff.
And then, are you going to live a lazy lifestyle?
In-laws are a part of the family.
That's right.
Yeah. So Dave Ramsey.
Oh, it was Dave Ramsey you were quoting?
Yeah.
Oh my God, who's Dave?
Oh, I thought that was what you were. Dave Ramsey's the guy that like you should watch him. He's very good with he's a financial guy, anti-debt, debt snowball, crush your debt.
Yeah. And
he's basically like the guy gives people financial advice and stuff.
Right.
It'd be good for you to watch some of him because it could help you get out of debt and in a better financial state. Right?
Well, and I obviously I need help, but I also I know why I'm in debt.
I was also.
You just kind of know sometimes why you're in debt.
Partially, rest in peace, Charlie Kirk. Right.
So that's actually who I thought you were quoting.
Yeah, those were the. But it's kind of like they both did a similar type of segment in their shows. That Kirk when he was out there in the campus, and Dave Ramsey when he was in the show.
That's right.
They did they have their own spins on it, and I'm kind of adding my own spin to it.
Yeah, but they're good though.
Copy pasting.
They're good.
Well,
to be fair, how you entered it was almost verbatim. That's why I was laughing. Oh, yeah. I literally thought I was hearing them say it. Yeah.
Rest in peace, dude.
No, rest in peace.
That's so bad, man.
I didn't actually know anything about him until it happened.
I actually wasn't that big of a follower.
Yeah,
I knew his stuff. I watched a couple of things.
I knew his
resonated with a lot of his stuff, and I think, okay, this guy's a good guy. But
actually, I didn't resonate with him because I put him because at the time I used to love when Ben Shapiro would destroy libs, but it was just for the. I didn't actually care. I just liked it for the content,
humor, right? The entertainment.
I didn't actually care about the politics.
Yeah,
I only care about the humor and also just hearing dumb people argue. But then I started hating Ben Shapiro because he just started coming off as annoying and pretentious. So then I put Charlie Kirk in the same boat as Ben Shapiro. So I wrote him off as just one of those college debaters.
This is the thing. If Ben Shapiro got assassinated, I feel like
it wouldn't happen.
I don't know. Would it be the same type of
wink?
Would it be the same? I think it might be. I think most likely it'll be the same type of. Because if Ben Shapiro dies, that's even worse. People are saying the Jews killed Charlie
That's what I'm
Kirk,
saying. That's what I'm saying.
So it's if someone kills Ben Shapiro, I'm like, okay, Then,
who did that?
I'm like,
who did that?
Then maybe you have to finally admit that there's no conspiracy theories. It's just a lone guy just shooting him.
If Ben Shapiro got shot, you'd have to admit it.
Yeah, because
he's a devout Jew.
Yeah. So case in point. We digress.
That was funny. I was not expecting you to say that.
What
because I'm thinking everything you're about to say, and I'm thinking, because he could obviously edit it out, but I'm thinking, does he want to bring it up on his podcast? And then you just did. Boom. Charlie Kirk, rest in peace. And also,
one of my earliest episodes, because I started this show in like October, so it was like a month after it happened.
Yeah.
When a month after it happened, I made a video talking about like all of it. So like, and I was really like I said, like something along the lines of like, it was probably not just that guy that did it. It was someone was involved. Based on the evidence seen. Based on the evidence seen and the way the FBI are being very weird.
Yeah, they're being kind of weird about it. They're being kind of weird about it.
Someone's getting involved, right? And then the Candace Owens hate, that's a whole other situation.
Yeah, a lot of people are crapping on Candace. Do people just not like her?
Well, people are saying that she's doing this whole Charlie Kirk thing because it's like I don't know. She's just getting views, right? But there's actually nothing to it. It was just a guy that shot him. But she's just looking into it, saying, no, there's actually 100% a lot more
convinced
into this, right?
Yeah, she's 100%.
There's a lot more to this than just. I'm not gonna say anything else about that, but I did make an episode specifically talking about it, so you guys can go back and watch that.
That's great.
Like, we'll go back.
Watch that episode.
I'll put it in the. I mean, if I can find this part of the episode, it's such a long episode. When I edit it, it's gonna be crazy hard. But like, I'll put it in the cards if I find this part of the episode.
Yeah, no, it makes sense.
But so that's the point. It's like the whole point is that I quoted them, but that's kind of how you want
but it's true though.
To look at your marriage.
It's good advice.
Like if you put, and obviously you going through it, I've never been in a relationship, so take my words with the teeny tiniest grain of salt. Like there's people online, and I know this as a fact that because they have podcasts, they talk about everything about their lives. They say they're not married, never been married, in a relationship, struggling to be in relationships, and they're giving relationship advice. And I'm like,
what are you talking about?
Okay, buddy, right? Calm down. Okay, talk about the gym, talk about fitness, sure. Talk about philosophical things, cool, amazing. Leave the relationship things to people who are more experienced.
100%, who are clearly doing well.
So take my little spiel as the teeny tiniest grain of salt. Because I've never actually been in a relationship.
Well, I'll tell you this. I'll tell you, when you discover someone who does the things that, especially my partner does, who's very patient, and what you realize is that when you spend your whole life doubting yourself, and again, part of the reason why my depression got worse was because I was like, man, I'm just going to be this piece of shit forever. Was realizing that she never would see me that way. And every time my brain would literally be like, there's only one way. I'm going to make this literally, it's fucked up. My anger gets fucked up where I'm like, there's only one possible way this person can make this right and tell me the right thing.
Yeah.
She does it perfectly every time. And I don't give her the instructions. It's in my delusional head. There's this stupid fucking pinpoint hole of the anger is closing in, and all it's leaving is this pinprick size hole.
Here's the thing.
To allow you in.
Don't be so hard on yourself, right? If you have the anger problem, it's a problem. But there's other reasons why she's still with you, right? And why all the other girls are still with you.
That's true.
I'm sure you have many other reasons that are good. So I think you have to iron out any sort of, when it comes to the macro problems, iron them out. Truly, just be honest with them and say, and be honest with her and say, literally, I want this to work, and I think if we don't agree on this, there'll be problems. Yeah. So let's try and find a solution.
So you totally agree. So for instance, thing, right? I told her that if we accidentally get pregnant, I can't do an abortion. So that means if that's what you want to do, again, I'm not going to disclose what her answer was.
Yeah, it's all good.
If that's something you would want to do, then that means that if we're going to have sex, we have to be extra careful, or we can't have sex at all. Those are your options. And so what that meant was this is a person who at that point wasn't taking birth control.
Yeah.
We were just using protection on the male side.
Yeah, on the male side.
And again, I'm having sex outside of marriage. I know I'm a big sinner. It is what it is. That's the one thing I don't agree with, but I do now. I agree with it actually now on a again. It's so funny. Religion for me has now become secular.
Yeah.
Yes. Everything that I'm talking about has everything to do with the fact that I see now why God is telling us you can't do it. He's looking at
he's trying to protect us.
He's looking at flawed reptile monkeys.
He's trying to protect us
from he's saying, right? He's protecting us from ourselves. I don't even have to get into it. That's literally the answer. The answer is he's just protecting us from ourselves.
But actually, I'll give you peace of mind that technically it's not actually stated in the Bible, no sex till marriage. What the specifics of it are is it's just one man, one woman. So like if you're planning on getting married to this woman, like if you know that this woman is going to be the woman for the rest of your life,
yes,
it is, permittable
to have sex with
because
her.
I'll say the word permittable
because foresight would dictate it's going to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a very interesting point.
Like that's I'll say that just to give you a bit of peace of mind. And obviously, what happens with life happens. Like.
And I've broken that.
Yeah, because you thought you were going to get married and you had sex and it didn't
work out.
Really, the biggest thing is the one night stands, the kind of just sex for pleasure. Yeah. Those are the most hated and persecuted in terms of sexual sin.
And I'm realizing it should be because as someone who never wanted to, and then did a couple of times, rule of 3, you do it once and you're like, that didn't feel good. Was that just the person or was that me? Do it again. And you're like, okay, that still doesn't feel good. If this happens, if someone comes to me one more time and makes this happen, I'm not going to seek it out anymore. So 2 times seek it out. The third strike is if someone comes to me
3 strikes, you're out.
And we do it and it doesn't work. And so it was literally like that. I had about probably 3 one-night stands, and by the third one, I'm like, I hated every single one of these.
Yeah, no, I literally have friends that when I told them I was a virgin, they were like, "Yo, bro, I wish."
Because they realized their heads
literally were
up.
Like that. They were like, "Dude, you know what? I wish I had that level of innocence, more respect for the woman's body." Type of thing. Literally.
But to be fair,
people's Because
to be fair,
I literally had people tell me that, so I'm not lying. This
to be
is
fair,
experience.
Porn doesn't help either.
No, it's just worse. It's honestly worse.
I was gonna, and I didn't want to say it. I want to say depending on what kind of gross BDSM clubs you go to, if you're just doing one night stands, but then there's porn, and porn is just so egregious.
Yeah, and if you're are you a virgin if you've watched porn?
Yeah, I don't think so at that point.
But
I feel like they have virginity of the mind, right?
It's a question.
Yeah. Are you really
I'm guilty. I'm guilty. Obviously, I'm guilty.
You're a virgin
by saying that you haven't actually done the deed with a woman physically in the flesh.
And I'll give you this.
You've
simulated it. I will give you this. You are a virgin in the eyes of what you've just described as the sexual future of marriage.
Yeah.
So in the sense that
But I'm an adulterer.
I'm an
adulterer.
I'm a sinner for sure. How are you an adulterer?
Because that's exactly what it is. You're looking at other women in a sexual way. I've already come to
is adultery
years ago.
Is adultery when you commit that sin once you've already found someone, or is it just truly once you just start looking at a bunch of women? That's adultery.
I think it's just looking at a bunch of women. I think that's what I would think, and especially in just such the perverse sexual way that they do it. We don't have to get too deep into it.
Yeah. No, you just say the word porn, everyone knows what we're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'll be, first to say I'm an adulterer. I'll say that much. But will I say technically I'm not actually a virgin? I don't know.
I guess I'm an adulterer too then.
I
don't even guess. I am. That's one of my sins as well.
Yeah, well, it happens, man. And you gotta just do better. You just gotta try and fight your own perceptions and your own feelings.
Well, actually,
and that's what I'm trying. Yeah, I'm trying to do, man. I'm just trying to do because my mind, your mind gets messed up, man. It really does.
That's what I'm saying. And then you only want more messed up things. Because you're it's the imagination is both beautiful, but it's also sick.
It was Jordan Peterson, I think, who he said something like, the more you pursue it, the more and more extreme you have to get before, to reach the level of pleasure.
That's true with drugs.
Right?
It's true with anything.
It's the same. He said specifically about watching that stuff.
Right?
And it's Yeah, like that's
chasing the dragon.
Right? And then you're just going more and more and more. So your mind's so catastrophically destroyed that you can't actually manage a real relationship.
That's what I'm saying. And ultimately that's what I realized.
It goes back to the initial point. Sorry for cutting you off. But
that's it.
It goes back to the initial point that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Which is like you can justify
yes.
the thing for 1 week, but like then you're like, how can you control yourself that you don't go and pursue more? And then you just go and more until you get to that point.
So better to just to get in the mindset that you can never do it, even if you occasionally make the mistake every so often.
Yeah.
Because at that point, then that's all it is just, oh, I gave in.
Well, it's about being the type of person. Because if you're giving it any thought, any room in your head, you'll just like, you'll fall eventually. Discipline and grit will only get you so far.
True.
Maybe you'll get through a couple of days where you fight the feeling.
True.
But eventually you'll fall because the devil's going to continue knocking on your door. It's about being like just self-discipline, like not discipline, but like just being strong of mind that you don't even like have those feelings. You're not even thinking about like those sexual situations, which gets harder and harder the more and more you fall into it.
Yeah.
Right. So you have to pull yourself out before it gets too extreme when it comes to that. So then when it comes to your relationship, whatever happened. It does, it's all good, right? I'm not, I don't have to pry too much, right? It's just like, don't lose this girl because of something like that.
Something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah, no way. So then it really comes down to like, for me, we're going to be moving. So I'm going to be moving away. Mm-hmm. It'll really be a test of our faith to each other and, how we feel. Because if after a year with physical distance, is it like, was it purely a physical relationship or did you genuinely love each other?
Exactly.
The answer to me isn't even a question, but it could be for her. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing about humans is we don't really know until it happens. Yeah.
So best of luck when it comes to that.
Thanks.
So what else? What other plans you got going forward, man?
That's too far ahead.
No plans?
Because you're talking to a guy who's just picking himself out of the gutter. You're talking to a guy who still needs help. Still needs someone to reach out a helping hand constantly.
Yeah.
But you're talking to someone who hasn't had ambition for a long time. All my ambitions have gone out. You want to know what I want to do in the next couple of years? I've been really wanting to just make my own music. So, but what I liked was, I used to just say that, I want to make music, but saying it was just the dumbest thing ever.
You should absolutely do it.
So what I started doing was I started playing the piano.
Yeah.
And then I plugged the piano into my computer and I needed a program to play the piano on. And then I started going, wait, I don't just want to play the piano and learn scales. I'm like, I just made this really cool backtrack, like doom 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 doom. I'm like, and then when you start hearing this backtrack, you're like, oh my god. You don't even need to know music, bro. You're just listening, right? You're just like do 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 do. And this all happened. By the way, if you're wondering, like, this feels really specific, it's because it is. This literally happened.
Yeah.
And the next thing I know, I have an entire, like, right now, it's not a song. It's not even good by any means. Yeah. But I have a song where I've got like brass instruments playing a bass line, and you can hear me doing a piano solo. It's really fun.
You're talking to the right guy.
Yeah.
Go pursue your dreams. That's my mantra. That's why I quit. I'm gonna go and try and make soccer happen, right?
I think you should do the soccer thing.
Like, I'm gonna do that.
Yeah.
Right? And last couple episodes on this show, I'm professing that. I'm doing it. And even if I'm in Europe, I'm just do like vlogs and stuff. That'll be my videos to keep the 365.
You definitely should start it in Europe.
Right? Yeah. But it's like,
yeah,
I'm the guy to talk to when you're saying go pursue your dreams. Like, you're going to be working a good job, a solid job that pays well, just in those couple of hours that you have to yourself at the end of the days. Spend that time
doing the hobby,
and pursuing that passion.
Yeah,
right? That makes you a better person when you have like that thing to go and pursue.
It really
does. That really fills you up. Like, I've made music in the past, and it drains me. It's not my thing. Yeah. It's not my thing.
For me, it invigorated me.
Yeah, I find that like it's cool when I make some cool freaking beat and it's like it's amazing, but like I'm just dead at the end of it. I spent 3 hours just like on it, and it's like, okay, yeah, like, it's a cool, fun thing, but I don't go too far into it.
It definitely it definitely drains you when you have to learn how to make something work exactly how you want it to. But when there's a flow, it gets really fun. Like one of my favorite things now is repeating tracks. So I basically am making video game music.
Okay.
Because the backtrack is very repetitive. To be fair, so is pop music, so it's not like modern music has anything to stand on for that. Mm-hmm. But like so for instance, like really rock does it. Really, most music does it. Like the repeating 4 chords of a bass line, mm-hmm. right? Like mm-hmm. that. Once I hear that, I can just start adding elements that I want to add. Again, it's not perfect, but what I noticed is that it doesn't matter. This is a guy who doesn't even know anything about music or music theory, mm-hmm. and
you still made it work.
And not even just making it work. I'm hooked.
Yeah, that's good, man.
Like addicted. It was almost like a drug. Like I was like, oh geez.
Yeah. Well, I mean that's good. Pursue. Yeah. I say pursue it. Go for it. That's my biggest thing. Like, what types of games do you play?
Games.
Well, I mean, if you're gonna make game music, what are you gonna base it off of? Right?
Well, Undertale was obviously a big influence.
Yeah, of course.
It was a big influence because I really do like Toby's music. Mm-hmm. And it's beautiful.
And Pokemon have some ridiculously good
Pokemon too
music as well.
Right.
Like there's a point where I was like trying to mimic the songs on piano.
That's right. You want to be able to.
Didn't work out, but it's all good. Like musical passions and artistry like that is not really my thing. Unless you consider the podcast, the conversation, and art, I don't know.
Well, technically.
But like the dancing, music, painting, that type of stuff.
Not your thing.
Not my thing. I'm more hardcore.
Yes, that's the vibe I got. Hardcore Christian fundamentalist. I'm just kidding.
Dude, I mean, listen, like I talk from the perspective I talk at.
Of course.
But this wasn't my whole life. Right? You
no.
remember that. I've told you, right?
Yeah.
This wasn't my whole life.
This is a recent discovery.
You know what I mean? Only like a couple years into the faith, right? Like I grew up the same way you grew up. Just, going about the motions, I'll go to church once in a while, maybe. You do your communion, your confirmation, your sacraments, all that.
It was to feel good. I feel good about it.
You don't really know who God is
exactly.
Or what the Bible teaching is.
What even it is, you're just, it becomes cultural.
Yeah, and that's like that's not the entire point, and that's why people move away from it. That's why I just kind of wasn't really caring.
That's actually true.
I didn't hate God. I didn't fall that deep into it, but I just kind of wasn't caring. And then, I found God when I was I found God in isolation, which was to say I was by myself on a big pursuit, football, right? Soccer, and I'm like, well, I'm not alone.
That's right.
I just made that realization. I'm like, I'm not alone. So then I slowly implemented prayer. I slowly implemented learning. And as I've grown in faith, I've grown as a person. So that proves the point of the truth of it even further for me. Mm-hmm. But for me, it's not as much of an intellectual, I have to wrap my head around the whole concept of it type of thing. For me, it's just I'm by myself, but I'm not by myself. It's so clear based on the events that have happened in my life up until this point that God is acting actively in my life, putting me through tests, putting me through difficult things, and helping me grow and be stronger. I think very, very much so the door-to-door sales was just a test, testing my resolve and to see how far I'd go, because most people would have quit into my the experiences I had in my second week. You were there when we were in that town in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, but
in that bar and the chicken wings, right? The chicken wings, and it's at that moment I was I'm out of here. I'm not finishing it. In the first week I was I'll ride this out till April. Till April, okay, buddy. And then I got hit. I got hit in the. I'm quitting today, bro. That's my problem. Is I kind of look at it from two extremes sometimes when it comes to the good and the bad.
And so that's where
anything.
So that's
why it was God's test for me, to see how far, to see if I would still be able to keep going.
I'll add to that. I think he was testing you.
Yeah.
Do you know how I know?
Why?
Because for 2 reasons. One, he sent me to you.
Yeah.
Because then you could test me.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not kidding.
Well, again, dude.
But no, hear me out.
Okay.
When you were saying, I want to do it till April, and then you're like, I'm going to quit today, I was a little disappointed. And I was like, bro, can you just try to make it to the end of the week at least? But it was funny because it wasn't for me. It wasn't like, I just want Matt to stay here so I feel happier.
Yeah.
There was something fundamentally that was like, I just want to see you push yourself.
Yeah.
And show me that you have discipline. Yeah. Also show me, because I'm this guy who's like,
well, because you were also like, questioning it.
Yeah. So I wanted to see you show me and prove it to me.
Well, that was the thing. It's like, then when I quit, I knew, okay, I had now planned the day. Like, I'm not going to quit, like prematurely on emotion, right? I'm going to make sure that it's a logical decision that I've made, put some money in the bank, and, boss will pay me. He will pay me. He said he will. I didn't even have to ask him. He was like very good with it. He was like, yep, we'll just wire you the money when it's time for your payments. And that's good. So then I'll get the money I made and the money I worked for. But now I can actually be at rest and at peace knowing that I made it past the point of where most people quit. And really
not only that, you made a lot of money too.
Yeah, good.
Not a lot of money, but when you compare it to the people who underperform versus people who perform on average, you performed above.
Yeah, that was
average.
The worst part, is that I was good at it. Like, if I sucked, it's one thing.
It's one
to
thing.
Quit in your second week. Yeah. But I was good at it, and that set the standard, and that made it worse for me just to realize that. And again, God's real because the delay at the station where this train stopped, and then we walked home, and then it kind of cultivated that whole first conversation that we had.
That's right.
In the night.
That's right.
Right? Like that wouldn't have happened. I would have just gone to the next station. We would have just said bye.
That's true.
Have a good day, right?
That is very true. And not only that, the conversation started because of me committing back to my improper habits of smoking marijuana.
Yeah, I did.
By the way, is it not to promote that to keep smoking?
Well, and then that was when
it triggered the conversation.
And then you told me you were Muslim, and I was like, really?
Yeah.
I would have never thought that. And that's where, it promotes, the storytelling and the conversations, right?
That's right.
Like, we don't agree on every single point, but that's fine.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Like, that's the beauty of, this life, right? You get the chance to disagree, but still kind of come to some sort of understanding, right? And that's, that's why I hate politics, because politics, there's never anything to it, right?
Yeah, they just kind of ruin everything. And the other thing is that if you're not actually... People who argue politics are the same people who argue against religion. They're not actually coming from it in an intellectual manner. They're just literally being like, yeah, that makes me feel bad, so I don't want it. I don't like... the police are shooting people, and you're like, okay... That's it? They're just shooting people? Yeah, they're shooting innocent people. They're only shooting innocent people. Yes.
Well, or you have the idea that people
that's not true, though.
Illegally, and they have to be, apprehended because they've gone in illegally. And again, it gets so complicated.
And we're like, but I don't like the way that the police are handling people, and then they're kicking them out of our country. Yeah, but they're kicking them out of our country because they're illegal. Yeah, but humans. And you're like, okay.
That again, how far do you want to take it? Right?
Exactly.
It's the political extremism thing, the political spectrum is not a line, it's a circle, right? And left extremism, right extremism kind of align in many ways.
They do align, but the problem is they align in their disagreement of everything. So you're not actually arguing with each other with logic, you're just arguing because it's my side versus your side.
It's on emotion.
It's how I feel.
Yeah, it's us versus them, right?
It's us versus them. They make me feel bad.
It gets you to shoot a man because you disagree with him, as we were talking about
and people
earlier,
celebrated
right?
that.
As we were talking about earlier.
People celebrated that.
I know. But honestly, it was a loud minority. Honestly, it wasn't actually, that gives me a bit of peace that it wasn't that many people. It was just because social media propagates all that stuff just to keep you hooked. But in reality, it was
people I knew.
Oh, people you knew? Well, there's people I knew too.
That's what made it worse.
People I knew too, but I just said...
That's what made it worse.
All right, I just unfollowed the dude.
Well,
I'm like, all right, you know what, buddy?
I didn't do it because the thing is, these people are hanging out in real life. Oh. They're at the dinner table, and they're
I'm lucky that most people, were just kind of not caring. They didn't understand the significance of it. They were kind of not whitewash, wrong word. Desensitized.
They were desensitized, and that's valid.
Not necessarily. The couple of people that I did see that were actively, not celebrating, but kind of teetering on that edge, I was like, all right, I'm not going to even argue with you. I'm just going to follow you, move on. Yeah. It's all good. Not in hate, just in not wanting to have that type of stuff in my circle, right? So,
and that's fair.
That's what my kind of perception of that is. But the really, really crazy stuff, was kind of online. It's sad.
Yeah, it's really sad.
But it exposes their character more than it exposes anything else, right?
I guess, but at the same time, you're also like, I think what got really scary was seeing it being promoted, seeing people accept it, and then being like, okay, all right. It's not even just seeing it happen that scared me. It was seeing people I knew talk about it in that way.
Yeah.
And then you being like, hold on, if I apply this logic to anybody else on your side of the aisle, you would freak the hell out.
Yeah.
Why are we even we're not even having this conversation. Yeah. It's not even about what he was talking about. It's about the fact that he was killed for it.
Yeah.
Point blank, period.
Yeah. And it makes it even worse when it could have been actually like a conspiracy. Like that,
it makes it even worse.
A possibility. Like the fact that it's not just completely been shunned out, that it's a possibility. All these crazy things that we're not going to get into today because we'll be here for another hour.
Yeah.
But like that's the point. It's just like, yeah, it's sad, but you kind of have to move on, and that's what you do. You move on. His legacy will stay alive through us talking about it.
That's true. Like, and to be very, he's what brought me to Jesus.
Like he was.
His death is what brought me to Jesus.
That's good, man. That's great. Like he's not. People seem to think he was a bad person. He's not. Like
I tried to find a single thing that was bad.
He made some funny racist jokes just to be funny.
With the
I don't remember the exact
DUI one or whatever.
I don't know. I don't remember the exact clip. But
because I have not heard him say anything actually.
There were a couple of very purposefully satirical jokes that a lot of people get emotional about.
I never saw anything.
But other than that, like he wasn't actually serious, and that's the thing.
Dude, even when he was talking to trans people, he wasn't even that bad.
He was respectful to them. He was just like trying to see their side.
That's what
he was there for. He was just the guy that wants to see people's sides, conversate, talk it out.
It was weird. Like was he dismissive at times? 100%. Yeah. He wasn't perfect.
Well, no one is.
In fact, he was pretty. Sometimes
no one is.
Of course. Sometimes you'd watch him, and I'd be watching him, and I'd be like, I loved his take on something, and then I would go back, and I'd be like, or I'd go watch something else, and I would be like yelling at him, like, Charlie, don't be like, come on, that's like a logical fallacy, because it is. So again, but like 1 out of 10 things maybe.
Yeah, and also again, he's in the political sphere,
so it's easy because the spotlight.
All of these, there's all of these alliances you have to make, alliances.
True.
We took a little bit of a pee break because my phone died, the microphones died, everything went wrong. So we were talking about Candace Owens.
Yes.
But let's not go so far into that because that can be like, as we know, slippery slope.
And honestly, and it's beyond me. I think that's the biggest thing is if I talk about it, I'm gonna talk about it like someone talks about like a sport they don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah. So that's perfect.
Yeah.
We can just move on.
We'll just
move on.
Instead, we'll bring it back to I think the last thing we were talking about before we somehow went all the way to this conversation.
Okay.
Which was just what I was going to be doing when I moved home.
I was like, if you remember,
how I was going to handle my long distance relationship and sort of closing up on what my goals were for the future.
Like put a bow on it. Trump, he says we're doing the weave. We're just weaving.
Is that what he says?
Yeah, that's what he said.
I'm honestly surprised.
We're doing the weave. We're weaving in and out of the conversation.
Oh, like actually, like dodging.
Yeah.
I see.
No, well, he calls it the weave. And he brings, eventually, 3 hours later, we come back to the initial point. When you guys are already asleep, right?
You're already asleep. Yeah, well, this is what it's a sleep podcast.
So, yes, what is going on? What's happening for you in your future?
Yes.
Because, we're not going to see each other, right?
We're not.
No, for a long time.
You either may never see me again, or it'll be in a year.
Yeah.
And it would come down to like a couple of things. Was obviously the summary of it will be it's going to be difficult, but the main difficulty was just being away from my partner. I'm going to be surrounded by family. I had to start looking at the positives, right? Because that was just all negative. Oh, you're moving away. You're giving your life up. You're blah blah blah. But I'm going home to save money. Surrounded by family during, by the way, the Christmas season. It was the perfect time to move home.
Yeah, exactly.
And if I stay there for a year, I'll stay there probably till next Christmas, so that I can spend Christmas with my family again, and then I'll probably move after Christmas. That's the plan. And then on top of like my plan of like what I want to do with my life, no career goals. I don't think I really want that anymore. Whenever I think of a career, it actually scares me. No, it does. I know it's responsible. It's a good thing to do. But I think when you get to that point in your life where you just feel like a loser, you can't think of a career because nothing makes sense. So it almost makes more sense what you were saying earlier about sticking to your dreams, sticking to your hobbies, because hobbies can become your future.
And while hard tackling that debt and making sure that you get yourself back in a good position where you can, start attacking life with leverage rather than from a place of
desperation,
right? Having to play catch up, right?
Which is what I've been doing.
Which is what you do with debt. That's what debt does to you.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm not planning on it.
and don't. If there's ever advice for anyone out there, you don't need to get a credit card for any other reason than to build up credit, which is, by the way, is a stupid system, but we have to play the game. And then the other part being, okay, you really can't afford like a single bill, but you better have a freaking plan to pay that money back, and you better not take any more money out. That was the mistake I learned. Also, don't get a credit card when you're depressed.
You'll spend too much.
Yeah.
There you go. All right. So you're going to tackle that. You're going to live with family, enjoy the holidays. That's what I'm doing too. Yeah. That's also part of the reason why I quit, just to have good times.
Good times, yeah, because they're going to make us work through it.
Good times, exactly.
I'd rather be home.
Exactly. Did you see the weather today? Today was pretty bad.
Brutal.
Did you walk here? Or did you?
I did, and it was sharp. I had to put a hood on because my ears were dying out there.
I had to wait 20 minutes for the streetcar. It
Yikes.
did not come. It did not come. So.
Oh God! Really?
I had to take another bus. Right, but it's all good.
I guess
we're just good here, spreading positive vibes.
Of course,
that's what we're doing.
Stay positive.
That's the ultimate message. Just be positive.
Just be positive. Be positive. That's
with all that's happening in this episode. Crazy stuff.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be spending the next 5 hours going through this and editing it. It's all good, man. Positive, because I don't know, this content, these conversations, whether recorded or not, they kind of, stay with you forever, right? Again, that conversation we had close to your place, even this day is good. It's our last time together for who knows how long.
That's true.
And, might as well make the most of it, right?
And making the most of it, indeed. I think a lot of why I resonated with you, why I enjoyed conversation with you, is just because I think you're like a regular human that you judge normally.
Yeah.
But I also can see within you that part of you that's like, you definitely have like an X-ray goggles on kind of thing, where you can see someone's aura and you're like, I see that they are moving in a direction and I could watch them fail, or I can see they have a string and they want me to pull on it. And with you, I resonated with you, and I was literally just like, here, man, want to chat? And you were really like, yeah, man, tell me about it.
Well, I also love these deep conversations too, because I don't know, it's where you kind of find the answers. Like if you obviously you find your answers through struggle, through suffering, and through actually going through it.
Yes.
But I think getting that peace of mind to have the conversation, exchanging ideas is always a positive thing. That's why people like Charlie Kirk, Candace Owens do what they do.
That's true.
And that's why I try to do what I do. I'm not planning on dying because of political beliefs, that's for sure. But, if I can make this into something that is actually profitable, that's already way more than I could ever imagine, right? But appreciate it, but you don't need to feed the ego.
That's fine. That's fair. That's a good point.
The ego's already too high and needs to be humbled more.
That surprises me. I never would have got that from you.
Yeah.
But to that point, you're right.
We all have our things.
I think the focus then should be get away from the energy, because I'm preaching from a guy who didn't have this before.
Mm-hmm.
It's really easy to look at the past. In fact, people get stuck in that.
Mm-hmm.
And the world is moving in a direction that feels negative. That's why focusing on yourself is important. But you need to look at the future as something that's perspective and good.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
And for me, the only way I could find that, unfortunately, at the time, was just being with someone.
Yeah.
Because I didn't see a future until I was with her.
Yeah, well, that's fine. We all have our different ways of figuring it out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We all have to kind of get through this life
100%
in the best way possible.
That's
I have a mantra, you want to live your life with as little regrets as possible. And that's a good mantra because, it's not possible to live with zero, but you have to go make decisions that you think in the long run will leave you happy about the decision, not regretful of a decision or not making a decision, you know? So that's how I go about it. Like, for example, like that moment where that guy in the car, the guy you don't like, whose name won't be mentioned, in the car where like I hit the leadership and then I was like, oh yeah, technically you can call me if you need any help because I'm your leader now.
Yeah.
And we all laughed and he was like, actually like, oh, yo, that's a good thing. Keep that like brashness about you and that semi cockiness about you. And then I'm like, no, I don't think that's a good thing. Honestly, I think that's a mentality that leads you into the wrong direction, in my opinion.
No, you're right.
And sometimes I fall into those exact statements, whether it's a joke or I'm actually like being prideful. That, it's kind of what I'm dealing with too on the side.
Well, sales is pride, it is ego, and unfortunately in that environment, that's what they're going to feed. But I agree with you that it's not.
Especially if it's like a ladder, you're trying to climb up, right?
That's right.
Dog eat dog world,
that's right?
You gotta make it,
Especially if you don't compartmentalize either.
Yeah.
So if you're just like, oh, I'm taking this sales advice and I'm going to apply it to everything in my life, you're corrupting yourself. No. Yeah. Oh. But to that point, I wanted to just say, to that point of not living in regret, to moving forward, to living your best life, and to just and rather than living in that regret by not making a decision, instead regret a decision you made by just being brave enough to make the decision. To that point, I think this is a great way to place it, to transition here to maybe to the end.
To the end, yes.
Which is that if it wasn't for my relationship with this woman, not my current partner, but my ex, when I moved here for the Muslim.
Yeah.
If I didn't meet her, I didn't move to Toronto, then I never would have met my current partner. I never would have got the job that I struggled at.
Yeah.
I never would have even came to the realization that I'm indebting myself, and I never would have met you.
Yeah, there you go, man. So let's keep going, trying to make the right decisions.
Yeah.
We won't do it every time, but we can try our best. We can definitely look at things from a logical instead of emotional perspective.
Yes.
Because emotions kind of move you in the wrong direction.
They do move you in the wrong direction.
So that's it. Thank you very much, Ryver, for being my first guest on this episode, on this podcast.
That's incredible.
Yeah. Over 3 hours, bro. So
I know.
I'm glad you stayed through it,
It was just a conversation, like nothing really. It was good.
That's good.
Yeah.
So let's put a bow on this episode, finally wrap it up after over 3 hours. I hope you guys enjoyed. The three of you that are still here, have a good one.
Joe Rogan's on next week.
Imagine.